Hump Day, getting closer and closer to the first regular season game of the year. That comes your way in a few weeks. The first preseason game in the NFL for the Colts comes your way tomorrow night. And first joint practice with the Baltimore Ravens took place yesterday in Baltimore. James Boyd was there. We'll hear from him at the bottom of the hour. Good morning, Kevin Bowen. You are inching ever closer to the most spectacular time of your year, football season.
Well, I was going to say having a cold Mondo. I thought that's where you were actually going with that.
By the way, Mark didn't even say good morning to you when you came in this morning.
He
just said, where are the addresses for my Mondos?
Didn't see anything as I look around the studio here. I don't know.
Well, first of all, the game went final at like 9:30 at night. You think I'm getting up? Sorry, kids, can't tuck you into bed. Got to go look for Mondos around the town.
Your payments are kind of like Jeff's payments, slightly delayed here.
Hold on just a second.
Mine were around. They just came to his door, not to the studio.
I've said I will happily buy them for you because your Reds did beat my Cubs' ass. But you've also said find it yourself. And I've said I don't even know where they exist. You claim your mother-in-law found them, and I thought they stopped making them in 1999. So if you want them, my friend, you have to give me a little bit of a leg up here.
Don't agree to a bet that you can't pay the consequences here, Mark Dykton. So,
well, I'm just if you want them so badly.
I know tomorrow we'll be out of studio, but Friday.
I can easily bring them to you tomorrow at the outing after the show.
Nice to have a cold Mondo here. Thank you to the Cincinnati Reds. Thank you to Spencer Steer, Cubs bullpen,
nice shirt,
looking
by the way.
beautiful.
Do yourself a favor. Tell me where to get them, and you will happily have them tomorrow.
A lot to get to here on this Wednesday morning, so I'm looking forward to it. It sounded like a positively eventful joint practice yesterday with the Ravens. So, yes, James Boyd, as you said, Jeff, going to join us here in a bit. Got some Pacers stuff, Fever back in action, so a ton to get to here, which is not normally the case on just a random Wednesday in August.
Yeah, you were talking about, and we'll talk all morning long about the Colts and their joint practice with the Ravens, and everybody seems to say that they had a really good day. But Rick Carlisle has been doing some talking on podcasts or whatever. It's always good to hear him speak, and he always speaks intelligently. I like the fact that he says that the Pacers fans are in for an interesting year, Kevin, which makes me think that he feels a little bit better about things than most other people. And I don't think he's sitting there saying, hey, without Tyrese, we're going to go right back to where we were and be a game away from an NBA championship. But I think he's more bullish on his team than most other people outside the organization.
Yeah, I took interesting to mean different. I mean, it's going to look different. It's going to feel different. They might have to win in ways that necessarily isn't this globetrottery like basketball at times that we've seen with Tyrese Halliburton. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into the Carlisle comments and obviously recap everything that happened yesterday out in Baltimore.
All good things must come to an end, and the 5-game winning streak for the Indiana Fever comes to an end again. It's a team that they just can't seem to figure out one way or the other. The Los Angeles Sparks playing last night. There are a couple of games with Cameron Brink back now, but, man, they were lit up by Rakea Jackson and Azura Stevens in the second half last night. But sometimes you just run into a buzzsaw. They're in the middle of a long road trip, the third of 4 games, and they lose 100-91. And for a minute there in the fourth quarter, it looked like blowout city. And then Fever responded and tried to put some pressure on them at the end, but in the end, just too much Sparks.
Yeah, defensive issues. I mean, honestly, you had to kind of catch your breath there in the first quarter with how back and forth that game was, and they gave up 54 in the first half. I think that kind of set the tone there. It looked like at one point we did have a UFO flying onto the floor there, which has seemingly been the case lately in the WNBA season.
What is that?
By the way, very impressive by Kelsey Plum. Just one quick swift with that right leg, and she booted that thing right off the floor.
Did this surprise you?
I think we're kind of waiting for it, but considering Sophie Cunningham did have a tweet about this.
I meant the Kelsey Plum grace and athleticism, flicking it away.
She strikes me as a tremendous athlete, so no, not at all. And at times I thought to myself, watching the game last night, that's about the only thing that could stop the LA Sparks.
At this point in time, that's the third incident of such an item being thrown onto a court. And if you're wondering what we're talking about, go Google it for yourself.
Kevin's not going to give me where to find Mondos. That might be what he gets instead.
Again, escalation to an unprecedented and unwarranted degree. I don't know what's going. That just went straight to forget 0 to 10 or 0 to 60. That went straight to 100.
It says they've been discontinued since 2011.
You can find them.
Okay.
I believe in you. I trust you.
Can I get your mother-in-law's phone number?
Why would you agree to the bet?
Well,
and the parameters around the bet if you can't back it up.
I can back it up. I will.
That seems like I need
to
take it to another level.
Tell me
Man.
where to buy them.
Another 4 levels that one went to right there. But that's the third such incident in the WNBA in the last weekend. Look,
Yeah, I kind of like.
at some point, you hope that they all just get arrested and thrown in jail, right?
Does that thing not clear security? Or I mean, are
I
you
don't
allowed
think
to
there's
just?
metal in it.
I mean, are you allowed to just? I mean, yeah.
We are so out of my area of expertise
Yeah.
right now. I don't even know what to say.
I guess you're right. But yeah, Fever defensive issues galore last night. And at some point, I think we were probably waiting for just the very impressive 5-game run to come to an end. It did last night, so they will have one more out west. That'll be Phoenix tomorrow night at 10 o'clock.
They are still 4 games over 500. We'll give you all the details of the game coming up in a few minutes. And as you guys were making reference to a moment ago, we had a small wager on yesterday's Cubs-Reds game. And Kevin, we all know now that you're wearing, we all saw the score last night, but I like to see that you represent, and you came in with the nice Cincinnati Reds t-shirt. this
I
morning.
bought this at the Edinburgh Outlet Mall probably 15 years ago. I'm
No kidding?
still glad that it somehow fits me. Spencer Steer, big old 3-run homer, and Mark, boy, was I happy to see the Cubs go to the bullpen.
Yeah, I'm so glad that Jed Hoyer addressed their relief pitching by shopping on Temu during the trade deadline because the guy was throwing like right down the middle. And I'm like, okay, great. And then Soroka, who they also acquired, is already injured. So, yeah, good times.
You speak like a man who's been burned on Temu before.
Zach Littell, outstanding in his Reds
Yeah,
debut.
he would have been nice
so
to acquire.
I am very happy on this Wednesday morning.
Yeah, it's nice to when the Reds win. All of a sudden, you're wearing Reds gear. They don't win. All of a sudden, that stuff gets tucked away.
Beg to differ on that.
So I suppose the big story in the NFL this week is the holdout and the trade demand for Micah Parsons. We talked a little bit about yesterday that the Colts really aren't even in a place to address something like that. But do you think Jerry just likes the attention every year, whether it's Dak, whether it's CeeDee Lamb, whether it's Micah Parsons? Do you think he just revels in having the center spotlight one way or the other for good reasons, bad reasons, other reasons on him and the Cowboys? Because it's starting to, not start to, but again, it feels that way.
Yes.
Yes. Say things like yesterday his big thing was he was asked, do you think Mike will be back in time for week 1? And Jerry was throwing water on that possibility.
Yeah,
Probably not.
I think
mean,
Jerry
come on.
Jones and attention go hand in hand. When James Boyd joins us at 7:30, your thoughts with what you heard of the action yesterday in Baltimore?
It was a nice day for everybody, it sounded like. Anthony Richardson seemed to play well. Daniel Jones is right behind him. A.D. Mitchell had a big day. I like the fact I always like small skirmishes in those situations, nothing major. I guess it was enough to get one of the Ravens thrown out, though, right? Wiggins got thrown out.
Yeah, saw that Nate Wiggins thrown out. Yeah, sometimes at these joint practices, you actually have NFL officials that step in and be like, yeah, we would throw him out in a game, so therefore
they did.
John Harbaugh will, abide by that as well. So, yeah, you saw a little, and that always happens in special teams drills, seemingly always happens involving gunners. So, that's what it sounded like yesterday. Hunter Wohler, 7th-round pick out of Wisconsin, sounded like he had a couple of big plays. I think I mentioned late last week, it's kind of rare in early August to talk about a 7th-round pick, and I would say he's a definite lock to make the team. And that's where Hunter Wohler was at before he impressed yesterday in the joint practice. Justin Wally, the 3rd-rounder out of Minnesota, saw he suffered a knee injury. Obviously, with your corner situation, you hope that is not severe because he was having a really nice camp, and you're already pretty banged up there. And we've got some clarity now in the preseason playing time, at least quarterback-wise for tomorrow night. Still a little bit unsure of exactly the other starters and how, they will play offensively or not at all offensively. How much will Anthony Richardson in his quarter and a half have the other offensive starters out there? Or is this going to be primarily the twos with those guys? I think that remains to be
Are you
seen.
suggesting that context in a preseason game matters, Kevin?
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, certainly. It doesn't sound like Baltimore's going to play any of their frontline guys, which, given their history and their success, it makes sense. But, again, each team treats this differently. Like, Jeff, I've always found it amazing. Last year in the preseason, Anthony Richardson threw the same amount of passes as Patrick Mahomes.
Which made no sense to any of us last year coming off the first season that he had.
In what world does Anthony Richardson need to be just throwing the same amount of passes as Patrick Mahomes? He should be double that.
Not a good world.
Right? I mean, and so it's just kind of always been head-scratching to me, the lack of wanting to play the frontline guys from Indianapolis. I saw, for example, yesterday, Zach Taylor with the Bengals. Hey, Joe Burrow, and our starter is going to play in the preseason opener. They obviously had a season last year, were not up to where they wanted to be at. So To each their own. I don't look at it and say, oh, just because Baltimore's not playing your guys, then you don't play your guys. No, I still think you can find some quality evaluation periods out of real game settings. And again, it sounds like Richardson will play about a quarter and a half tomorrow night as a starter. Daniel Jones will then get the rest of the first half, and then that will flip a week from Saturday when Green Bay comes to Lucas Oil Stadium. So I guess if you look at that, we will have at least this quarterback battle continuing through week 2 of the preseason. Remember, there's only 3 preseason games, but that was probably the biggest news item post-practice yesterday.
Mark, I forgot to tell you yesterday, but I was in a planning meeting yesterday. We were looking over the schedule for the next 3-4 weeks or so, and someone brought up, and then the Colts will be playing the Packers that night. And in my head, the second anyone said Packers, this is exactly what I heard in that meeting.
See?
There you go. So
I program people because they say the same
ruined
thing.
Me.
And they do suck.
I don't
They
even
suck big
dislike
time.
the Packers, but that's what went through my head, Kevin. Such is the power, the influence of Mark Dykton and his radio.
It's an earworm.
Mark has gone to the threads of social media to beg
Well, no, listen.
To
Like
ask
it says,
for legendary Barry Mondos.
it says that you can buy them at Randall's. I've never heard of Randall's. You put in
No,
the zip
Randall's
code.
has got to be able to ship to the 317.
No, you
Right.
can't. No.
Where is it located, Randall?
I don't know. I don't
Sounds
know.
like a nice grocery store, and
I thought you could find
Leesburg,
anything and anybody
Indiana.
anywhere. I thought you were kind of an investigative crack whiz.
I agree. Mark, finds all this stuff on
Right.
social. He's got all this Kevin Bowen audio.
are we-
He's got
are we
AI
spoiled?
Kevin Bowen, and the man can't find a 6-pack of Mondo.
Are we spoiled in that when we think that we need something or want something, we ask Mark to get it, and he just is the radar? This is old. He's the Radar O'Reilly, and he's either anticipated it already or he just gets it.
Nam Day Moon Farmers Market. Boom, 6-pack right here for
Randall's is
$1.78.
apparently available in Houston, Texas. And that whatever you just said, I've looked at that one too. That's in Georgia, my friend.
Did Kevin just find something in about 20 seconds?
Don't you guys have a Disney trip planned soon? Can't you stop on your way?
Well, you said you want this stuff ASAP. I'm not going till October.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll tell you all about the night that was in sports coming up in a moment. James Boyd will join us from Baltimore to talk about the joint practice with the Ravens yesterday. We'll do that at the bottom of the hour. The never-ending now search for Mondos here in the studio continues on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Good morning. It's Wednesday. Tomorrow night, the Colts open up the preseason portion of their 2025 schedule in Baltimore against the Ravens. Kevin Bowen yesterday, joint practices with the two squads. What did we learn from that 90-minute, 2-hour adventure?
Yeah, it sounded like much better than it went last year, particularly against the Cincinnati defense that ended up firing their defensive coordinator. So, yeah, much better. Sounded like both Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones pretty efficient. Some big plays from Richardson. A.D. Mitchell shined again. Defensively, I saw one of the Ravens writers called the Lamar Jackson day uneven. So I would think that is a positive for the Colts defense. One injury, I think, to keep an eye on for Indianapolis. And, again, we did get clarity on what the quarterback plan will be for the first two preseason games. So tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Colts and Ravens. Anthony Richardson will start, and he will get about a quarter and a half of playing time. Then Daniel Jones will finish off the first half, and that will then be reversed inside of Lucas Oil Stadium a week from Saturday.
And it sounds like Shane Steichen's a little more coy on everybody else and how much they're going to play and who's going to start and whatever. I will tell you this, though. We were talking a moment ago about, context mattering, whether you're playing ones against twos or this, that, the other thing. I did have a coach tell me at one point in time, whether it's ones or twos in the preseason, I just want to make sure my guys going against guys who are going to be on that 53-man roster, guys that are going to be on that too-deep depth chart. That's football is what he was talking about. So we'll see what the Colts do tomorrow night. In the meantime, late last night, and I wasn't going to stay up and watch it, and Kevin, what did I do? I stayed up and watched the Fever game last night.
You were
against
locked
the
in.
Sparks. I kept wanting to see. They fell behind early. Then they kind of hung around for a while. They got to within 6 after being down 13 early in the third quarter. And then they got way behind by 22, middle of the fourth. And then they go on a 21-5 tear and come up short, 191. But as you pointed out earlier in the show, they gave up a lot of first-half points last night.
Yeah, just really poor defense in that opening half. It was super entertaining. I could see why you got hooked. And then, of course, you had what happened there in the second quarter with a UFO flying onto the floor there that maybe kept you further entertained. But, yeah, just from a defensive effort, really, really poor. Especially, again, without Caitlin Clark, they've been a little better defensively. Offense was no issue last night. Kelsey Mitchell was outstanding. We did hear Stephanie White on with Jake yesterday. The Caitlin Clark update didn't sound like anything too newsy. Yeah. Again, no changes, beginning to do some running. Next up, kind of furthering that endurance workload for her. So, I don't know, maybe mid-August starts to be late August with her. September 9th is the final regular season game if you kind of want to get a ballpark of where the schedule is at. Again, they are better than 500 without her. They've definitely weathered the storm, 9-8 without her. And tomorrow night will be their final game out west. That will be Phoenix, 10 o'clock. For that one, they are a notable underdog.
Kelsey Mitchell led the team with 34 points in the loss. Major League Baseball last night. Would you like to tell us the marquee matchup of the night, what the results were, and how it went down, Kevin Bowen?
All right. Probably just cue up our excellent producer. Seems to have some great audio whenever.
Too busy looking up like international zip codes for Mondos right now.
He's deflecting from the Reds' 5-1 dominant victory over the Cubs, where it's clear they have no bullpen. They're in trouble.
They don't. They are very bad right now. They stink since the All-Star break.
Spencer Steer had a go-ahead 3-run home run, his 13th of the year in the 7th. They had 4 RBI of those 5 runs last night. They win it 5-1. Dodgers over the Cardinals by a score of 12-6. Mariners beat the White Sox 8-3. Mets over the Indians 3-2. The Indianapolis Indians lose at home at Victory Field to the Omaha Storm Chasers. 7-6 the final there. Those two teams will play this afternoon at Victory Field beginning at 1:35. Daytime game for both of y'all today. 2:20, the Cubs at Wrigley host the Cincinnati Reds, and the Cardinals play the Dodgers at 4:10 our time. That'll be a 1:10 start out in Los Angeles. Anything else you want to throw in before we move along to other things?
Yeah, yesterday we talked a little Purdue. Today, a little IU. Jeff Rabjohn's coming up 9 o'clock from San Juan. Again, Darren DeVries and company down there. They will start their first of 3 games. I don't believe there's any sort of viewing for these games outside of the people that are in the building. So Jeff Rabjohn's talk a little bit about that. Of course, Kurt Signetti's first week of training camp. And what do you make of ESPN buying NFL Network?
More money for the 4-letter network. You watch what you'll be paying a certain amount of money for your subscription on whatever provider that you may or may not have these days, whether it's YouTube, whether it's we're still old-fashioned with DirecTV, and then they're going to ask you for a little what they call OTT over the top too. So if you want to see, I guarantee you at some point there's a game on that you really want to see, Kevin, they're gonna find a way to get
So
you
this
for it.
means less journalistic integrity from ESPN in regards to NFL stuff?
Say that sentence again.
Does this mean less journalistic integrity from ESPN in regards to the NFL, with the NFL now having 10% equity?
I would like
In
to
the
say that
worldwide
you've
leader?
answered your own question. It's right there wrapped up in the question. It's all just one big thing right now. To them, look, I've always said this to people. It's the entertainment, sports, and programming network. The days of unbelievable great journalism when they used to have guys following Barry Bonds around, when they used to have outside the lines every single night, when they actually had full-time employees that they paid to go do actual journalistic stuff. I don't think they're lying to you necessarily on SportsCenter. I'm not going to say that, but it is the entertainment and sports programming network, and they're looking at entertainment and making money as much as they can off that entertainment.
I don't live in this world, but I know a lot of people do. I think Mark does occasionally, and a lot of people that don't necessarily are locked into just like one team. Like my Sunday, like everything's around the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of NFL fans, the Sunday revolves around Red Zone and consuming games via that. I am curious what that future will hold, and will ESPN personalities slide over to that area?
Here comes Stephen A. Smith on Red Zone.
So someone
honestly, I was thinking of the man here in our own backyard. What will the future hold for Pat McAfee in regards to an NFL Sunday?
Yeah, it'll be
That
interesting.
is
I
a
could see.
little
I could
quiet
see
for
like a
him right now.
McAfee. I could see like a McAfee Sunday show where him and his boys just sit around and talk about the games and do their own kind of whip around. But I think you'll still get the traditional
Scott
Red
Hansen
Zone
time?
kind of stuff.
Hope so.
Look, the one thing I will say, all the things we just said about ESPN, all of it's true, but they do know how to present sports in a pretty entertaining manner most of the time. We all have our nitpicks here and there, but I mean, we pretty much know we're going to get a broadcast of our favorite team is going to be okay.
They're also apparently going to be broadcasting WWE pay-per-views going forward, too, so they're acquiring quite a bit of content all of a sudden.
Yeah. It'll remain to be, we'll see how it all shakes out, but I think most people, at the end of the day, have always said this, Mark, if your team's playing and they're out of market for you, it would be the Bears. You don't even care where it is. You just want to watch your team play, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I think we get too caught up sometimes in all the other stuff. Just tell me where my team's playing. I'll find it, and hopefully they do a halfway decent job. So,
unless they have you hunting for Mondos, then they're dead to me.
How's the search going, Mark? You seem
it's
to
not
be
going well
bitching
at
up
all.
a storm over there.
I know.
It says Atlanta maybe has them.
Gosh.
It says
I feel like I'm
Texas
dealing
maybe
with
has them.
Rosie throwing a fit right now with how much complaining Mark has had over
Well,
the last
I mean,
27 minutes.
if
you
you want-
agreed to the bet. You
You're
agreed to
the
the
one who made the
parameters. Your
bet.
team stunk. You pay up. It's that simple.
Well, okay, but if you want
You
the
would
bet
have
paid
Mondos
off,
right on your desk right now.
I will hand you my debit card and you can purchase them yourself if you can find them. I want to know where your mother-in-law had these. I don't believe it. I haven't seen visual proof that these are the. You
Now she
claim
wants
they're-
to question your mother-in-law.
Well, you've claimed they're actually Mondos. I haven't seen a picture. I'm like, did she go out of town? You're like, I don't know. What?
All right, you guys work on
We're
that.
gonna fight today. I have a
We're
feeling
gonna take
Kevin and I
quick
are on
time
bad
out.
terms right now.
James Boyd is going to give us all the info, firsthand account of the joint practice between the Ravens and the Colts yesterday. I'll let these two get it on next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Good morning and welcome into a Wednesday here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. You're on the way to work or maybe even school for the first time. Thanks for joining us. In whatever way you're joining us, you can listen to us at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. You can also, my favorite way to listen to us is on 93.1 point. Help me out here, Mark. 93.3 HD2. Thank you very much.
Your favorite way.
93.1.
Yes.
Yes. What? Because it's programmed in now, and I haven't looked at it.
93.1, isn't it -2 or something?
Yes. You just click the little turn thing, the dial one click to the right, and you can listen to us there. And I will screw this up forever because I get caught in. I used to be in 93.3, and it will not leave my brain. But anyway,
Mark,
you can do that.
so quick on the button
WIBC
over there.
HD. Of course he is, because he's just diverting from the fact that he owes you something from a bet last night, and he's not coming up with it.
I told him I'll happily buy like a pallet's worth if I could actually get the location of where these are located. I don't think they exist unless you want some dusty stuff from COVID.
Wow.
That's where it's coming up from. Nothing on eBay, nothing on Amazon. Randall's and some food market in Atlanta.
Should we chat with James
Just
Boyd?
get it done. Yes, James Boyd going to join us on
I might
the
need him to stop somewhere.
Payless
and pick it up.
Liquors hotline.
Let's see if
from
this works.
Baltimore right now. Good morning, James. We have a major spat going on here between Mark and Kevin this morning. There was a friendly wager on the Cubs-Reds game last night. Reds, of course, won.
No. The Reds series. Let's give the Reds full credit here. The Reds have won the series.
Yeah, okay. The series. You see the point. Kevin's a little sensitive to all of that. Mark is sensitive to the fact that he can't find what he promised to deliver, and that's dominating the program this morning.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
You
Do me a
sound
favor.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's dive into this. I think that Jeff, you're one to talk about paying up. We had to hunt you down.
No. Mark, please set the record straight. Did it not
No.
arrive at your
You got to
door?
pay up in person.
I shipped
You
it to
can't be
his
sending-
door
no,
so that he
that's
would
weak.
have it in
That's
time
weak.
for vacation.
Nah, that's weak. He would have had it in time for vacation if he paid up in person.
I couldn't find it in time for
Honestly,
that.
at this rate, I would take that.
Excuses.
The way Mark's talking, next time I get this, man, Rosie might have
Man.
children.
Yeah, and Mark, man, don't be following after Jeff doing that.
Listen,
Figure it out.
Trying to resemble our boss in more ways than one here, Mark.
I would love to be able to pay the man, but he claims he's found something that was discontinued in 2021, and nothing is popping up even remotely close to here.
Yeah. So, James, let's get down to it, man. You were at joint practices yesterday, the Ravens and the Indianapolis Colts. Last year was an abject disaster for Anthony Richardson's first joint practice. How much has he improved from last year to this year in that setting?
Yeah, I went back and looked, actually, and I believe he was 10 of 20 last year against the Bengals in Cincinnati, and that might be the only good performance they had on defense all year, considering how bad that Bengals defense was. But they were talking so crazy to that man and telling him that, he was scared to throw the ball and all he does is run, but not a lot of trash talk yesterday in Owings Mills, Maryland, actually not Baltimore where they practice, but I thought that he had a solid day overall. And I thought Daniel Jones had a solid day as well. A lot of chunk plays down the field, but Anthony Richardson, I believe, was 10 of 13 passing, had a short touchdown in red zone drills to Ashton Doolin, and had a couple big connections with A.D. Mitchell, who had a big day as well.
So it seemed like James, honestly, quarterback-wise, is kind of what we have seen so far in Westfield, albeit against much different competition, of course.
Yeah, that's what I thought for the most part. Anthony provided more of the explosive plays, but to his credit, he also had some of the underneath stuff as well. And then for Daniel Jones, just another efficient day. Not a lot of downfield throws, but kept the chains moving. I thought that both kind of struggled in the last 2 minutes towards the end of practice. That's where that Ravens defense kind of got them. Got a couple sacks in there. The offensive line has to be better in moments like that. But overall, I think that the offense could feel pretty good about what they put out there against the defense that's supposed to be really good this year.
Again, you can find James' recap up on The Athletic. Some great detail yesterday from the Colts and the Ravens, that joint practice. Again, tomorrow's preseason opener will be Thursday at 7 o'clock. Some chirping from A.D. Mitchell, and that chirping included you boys?
To a certain extent, yes.
Wow.
We were standing in the back of the end zone on one of the one-on-one drills, and A.D. Mitchell burned Nate Wiggins on the first rep, and Daniel Jones overthrew him. And he looks over at us, and he just picks up the ball, and he looks at me and Stephen Holder, and he says, "That bleep is burnt toast." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then the next play, or a few plays later, he burned another Ravens cornerback and beat him deep. And he caught the deep ball, this time from Anthony Richardson, and looked at us and was like, I told you. And I was like, oh, okay. And, it's one-on-ones. I'm thinking he's just talking or, feeling a little hyped up. But even in the team periods, A.D. Mitchell had a very big day, a couple of nice catches. The one time that one of the Ravens secondary players did get a stop on him, which I thought was actually a good, clean breakup, the refs threw a flag, and so A.D. Mitchell just trolled the defender and kept pointing at the flag and pointing at the ref and kind of, I guess, insinuating that he kind of saved him from getting cooked again. So he looked like the best receiver out there for the Colts yesterday, and that's kind of been the case the last week or so. So obviously you just want to see it translate to games.
James, tell me a little bit about offensive and defensive line play for the Colts. That's what I was really interested in seeing yesterday.
Real quick, Jeff, I know you love A.D. Mitchell, but, I don't know if 80 catches is still going to be on the horizon. I want to, pump the brakes there while I'm hyping up A.D. Mitchell. I'll give you a few, but maybe not 80. And then as far as the offensive line, defensive line, I didn't watch much of the Colts' defense because quarterback competition, I'm one person, so I got to watch the quarterbacks. But I thought their offensive line had some good moments early on. They actually had some very nice runs with some misdirection stuff, zone reads when it comes to Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. And then Jonathan Taylor had some nice runs. But again, in that last 2 minutes in the hurry-up offense, they kind of got whooped a little bit. So that's something they have to kind of keep in mind when things get sped up.
James, couple just, I don't know, maybe post-practice questions for me. I know, obviously, your attention is more focused on the Colts quarterbacks. Any update on the knee injury to rookie corner Justin Wally? Because goes without saying, he's had a really, really strong off season, and right now his health is pretty paramount in that corner room.
Yeah, he had a nice pass breakup yesterday down the field on Lamar Jackson, but no update on his knee just yet. Obviously, that is concerning because the injuries are piling up in that cornerback room. And then Travarius Ward, he was not limited, but I think that they're just treating him as like he's a older veteran, and he's not gonna just get every single rep anymore in training camp and in practices and stuff like that. But, he seems to be like your only true starting cornerback right now outside of Kenny Moore, who is fully healthy. I mean, the rest of them are kind of banged up, and that third cornerback spot is kind of wide open because of it.
Okay, and then any clarity, I actually think it was you that asked Shane about the playing time for tomorrow night. And Anthony Richardson, will be out there for quarter and a half, and then Daniel Jones will finish off the rest of the first half. That'll flip-flop a week from Saturday. Are we expecting the other Colts offensive starters to be with Richardson?
Yeah, he didn't really say, and to be honest, that's my fault for not pressing him more on it. But we'll just have to kind of wait and see who's out there. But I would assume that you can't really put Anthony out there without some sort of starting caliber talent and expect to, evaluate him properly. I would say the same thing for Daniel Jones as well. So I would expect those guys around him to at least be out there for a few series to help them evaluate if Anthony's progressing or not. Because let's be honest, he's not going to be out there with the second unit if he is your starting quarterback.
So what's on the agenda for the Colts over the next 36 hours or so? How's this going to work?
Well, they probably rest and watch some film and break things down today and then prepare for tomorrow's game.
All
Pretty
right.
simple.
Looking forward to it. Thanks so much. What are you doing with your day off today in Baltimore?
Well, not really a day off. Up early as always. The body clock, as you all know, woke me up at 6:45. So always up these days. And then just got to get back home and then write a preseason opener preview about who I'm going to be watching. So look out for that. Who could gain some things, who could lose some things, and based off their performance tomorrow.
All right, buddy. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning.
Safe travels, James.
All right. Pay up, Mark.
Amen.
I can if I'm able to.
Amen.
Dude,
I
James,
want to spend the money. I will give him my debit card.
James woke up
I
shows
love
violence
James
to
Boyd.
everybody today, man.
I couldn't agree with James
Dig
more.
that.
Can't believe these people in the YouTube chat. Oh, Kevin's being too harsh on Mark. Don't agree to the bet.
Well, then
Don't
tell me
agree
where
to the
to
bet.
get
I mean,
him.
it's that simple.
No, it's not that simple. When it says discontinued in 2021,
Don't say yes if you can't write that
I
check.
said yes because you said they're readily available, and I said where, and you said figure it out, and I said what? How?
I feel really bad for Colts fans with yesterday's
Look at that
announcement.
pivot right there.
So yesterday's announcement, Jeff, has Anthony Richardson starting tomorrow night, correct? Playing about a quarter and a half.
Yep.
That means next week
Daniel
against
Jones.
Green Bay, it will be Daniel Jones in the home preseason game, and Anthony Richardson will play, it sounds like, a half of a quarter in front of the home fans. I was thinking about this last night and wanted to double check it. So I looked this up because, correct me if I'm wrong, but a preseason ticket is still full price, right?
Yeah, they
For an NFL
don't
game?
they don't cut you any slack.
Anthony Richardson, tomorrow night will be his 7th preseason game in his life. So far in the 3 road games, he's thrown 43 passes. Like, he plays a ton on the road in the preseason. In the home games, he's thrown 4. He's thrown 4 passes in the 3 home preseason games in his entire career. And I get this is a little bit just like the oddity in preseason scheduling. If it would have been the reverse and the Colts had a home preseason game to lead off this year's slate, I assume that he would be obviously starting and playing a quarter and a half. But, like, I already feel for fans that have to pay full price for the preseason slate. You would at least like to see Anthony Richardson, I think, out there for a good amount. And for the umpteenth year in a row here, you're going to get Anthony Richardson, playing a series or 2. And it's just weird how he's played in all these road preseason games and yet barely plays at home.
Coming up in a minute, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about preseason and the way the NFL handles the preseason. I felt this way for a long time, and it's probably like an annual rant, but I'm going to give it again, and we'll do it next as we continue at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Aren't we breaking early?
We are again, aren't we? Looking up there, I'm thinking it's the wrong hour. I'm on fire today, Mark. I'm in mid-season form today.
So your clock
Is that a
breaking
false
early.
start?
I know.
I did see the Colts had several false starts as a
This is
starting
the
offense
problem.
yesterday.
This is what happens when I stay up to watch games on the West Coast. I'm useless the next day.
It was a nice tease.
You want me to pay off the
Well,
tease
yeah, you
now?
might as well. We got 10 more minutes.
I don't know about you guys. I'm having fun today. That's really all that matters.
I wouldn't mind pivoting to a little Rick Carlisle.
We will get to that. But here's the thing about preseason games. You go, an NFL game, especially for kids and people who don't get a chance to go very often, that's a special deal, right? You get a chance, you go see some really good football. You want to see a quarterback that makes great plays. You want to see all these things. It's like going to the best restaurant in town and wanting that farm-to-table freshness that the cook has been, that the chef has been cooking up for you for hours and hours, just waiting for you to come dine at their amazing restaurant, and you get there, and everything you're eating comes straight out of a can. That's exactly what the preseason is like. You're paying gourmet prices for fast food quality. And I don't understand how the NFL continues to get away with charging full price for preseason games year after year after year after year. I don't get it. When you buy your season ticket package, Mark, you have to buy all the games.
Yep.
And a lot of people I know a lot of people who just give their tickets away to other people, and I suppose it's still a great experience for a young kid to go and see some players and see, quote, NFL football, but it's not really, truly, for 4 quarters, NFL football, is it? Just drives me nuts that they're able to do that.
I would agree on that.
I mean, you're going to go see, especially in the last preseason game, generally, most of the game, you're going to see guys that were obviously good players in college that are on the precipice of making the NFL, but they're not really NFL players, are they?
I think it's only a matter of time before they probably just go, full joint practices maybe, and open up those to fans. I saw Green Bay had like 40,000 people at their joint practice.
I got an idea for
maybe they'll go there.
The NFL, who's trying to keep the league going year to year, right? What if they had full joint practices with a couple of teams a few times, and charged people like, I don't know, $10 to get in and gave all that money to charity?
Yeah, I mean, the
charity.
Colts, I believe for their
Colts are pretty good about
time
stuff like that.
practices, they send their money, I want to say, to the flag football initiative that obviously is taken off here in recent years. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Mark, let's play this Rick Carlisle audio. I thought, first off, Caitlin Cooper, I think most diehard Pacers fans will know who she is. She does an incredible job in, you want to talk about a graduate course in the game of basketball, particularly the Pacers. She is teaching that, and she is Professor of the Year. Honestly, there are many times that I listen, read, watch her work, and I'm like, that is so far above my head. So I thought it was really cool that Rick Carlisle went on to her podcast. They spoke for about an hour on a variety of topics, and I think a topic that has been a bit hot button has been Benedict Mathurin, and what will this look like for him coming up this season? And in typical Carlisle fashion, he laid it out, I thought, pretty detailed for Benedict Mathurin here without Tyrese Halliburton coming up this season. So, again, this is Rick Carlisle on Caitlin Cooper's podcast yesterday in regards to the role for Benedict Mathurin.
I'll be real honest. This is a part of Ben Mathurin's game that we keep talking to him about. And, he's a guy that is just a natural scorer. I mean, you put him in a rat game with a bunch of switching and a bunch of physical stuff, and the guy's going to go find 18 points and he's going to shoot 7 free throws at least. But the pure elements of the passing and the quick decisions and stuff like that are things that he's gradually getting, and he's going to get there. And I think, this year, right now, and I'll break the news right here. I'm projecting him as our starter at 2 this year.
Pretty bold right there, KB.
Well, I guess I don't think it's that
we're
bold.
sitting here in the middle of August.
Yeah, but who else? You're going to start Ben Shepherd over him?
Yeah.
To me, Benedict Mathurin needs to be the starting 2. I think, probably the early part of that answer from Carlisle is one where this continues to be the further conversation with Mathurin. It's always he needs to fit into us. Like that, he started off, and for those that, again, watch the whole interview, he does mention Ben Shepherd, for example, and him doing some little things that the coaching staff wants to see Mathurin do. He brings up Aaron Nesmith at Vanderbilt, for example, where he played for Jerry Stackhouse in a much different system than what he was asked to do, certainly in Boston and even here in Indiana. So it's just the confusing nature to Benedict Mathurin in a Pacers uniform.
He's still pretty young, though.
What is he?
I think he can be what Rick describes. I think his potential is terrific. And I think that's what Carlisle sees.
So if he doesn't do enough of the little things,
well, then he's probably, Rick. If he doesn't do enough of the little
is
things,
that it? Does that mean Benedict Mathurin is elsewhere? 20-point scorers off the bench in the NBA Finals aren't coveted?
I don't know that he's necessarily elsewhere, but there's a decision for them to make somewhere down the line.
Well, it's a huge decision, and that decision's probably by February.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want Mathurin to walk for nothing.
How much is he going to get elsewhere?
You just let Miles Turner walk for nothing.
If he's not doing all the little things, how much is another team going to give him?
Well, I would think a former top 10 pick at the age of 23 that has proven to be the scorer he can be in this league is going to track something. So I just think it's a monumental year.
Well, but the good news is for Rick and his staff is they know him better than anybody else, and they'll know by February whether he's tracking to what Rick said he'll get there. And if he's not tracking, then you're right. Then they have a huge decision to make. But I think right now Rick is just operating under the idea that Mathurin is going to be the guy that he can lean on moving forward.
I thought there were a couple other items that were interesting from Rick yesterday. So looking forward to getting into that as the show moves along.
Yeah, there's the one thing I'll say about the Pacers, man, whether it was the run to the NBA Finals and everything since, they have given us something to talk about almost consistently year-round. And this is a team that's going to be obviously trying to pick and choose how they're going to put things back together with Tyrese Halliburton being out and the loss, as you mentioned a moment ago, of Miles Turner. Did you make much last week of the fact that Giannis is still not quite committing to a future with the Bucks, or is that more media drama, do you think?
Oh, I think that's just the state of the Bucks. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I mean, it's going to sound like a knock on Miles Turner, but I don't think an acquisition of Miles Turner would all of a sudden make me, if I'm Giannis, say, oh, I'm going to sign here forever, and here's my life, and here's blood on the contract. Like, no, I don't view that at all. So, yeah, it's not the most shocking thing in the world. I look at the Bucks operation, if I'm Giannis right now, and think, okay, what exactly are we doing here? Where exactly is this next sort of window and this next run? So, yeah, I don't blame Giannis at all.
So do you think that this kind of opens up the window in that division for the Cleveland Cavaliers over the next year or two?
Probably for this year. Yeah, I would say Cleveland. Yeah, they probably, look what they did last year in the regular season. They ran away from the Central as is. So, yes, given Halliburton's situation, obviously, whatever the Bucks are going to be. Yes, I would say Cleveland is the overwhelming favorite in the Central.
All right, coming up in a moment, we will talk a little bit more about the Colts and their joint practices yesterday, more on the Pacers and Rick Carlisle. I was going to have you send it to break since I apparently can't get it done correctly, Kevin, so you go ahead and do that.
Stephen Holder, right, on the other side?
Yeah, we're talking
he
Colts
was at
practices.
the Baltimore practice yesterday, so we'll chat with Stephen Holder about what he witnessed, what are the expectations for tomorrow night in the preseason opener, and much more from Rick Carlisle's comments. We'll do that next. Kevin Bowen, Jeff Rickard, and Mark Dykton here.
Well done.
On a Wednesday.
Oh, happy Wednesday. Colts had joint practice with the Baltimore Ravens yesterday. Welcome into 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. That song, that sound can only mean one thing, Kevin Bowen. Can only mean one thing. Stephen Holder joining us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline this morning. He was representing ESPN yesterday at the joint practices with the Colts and the Ravens. Good morning, Mr. Holder. How's the East Coast treating you?
Oh, pretty good so far. A little overcast, but not rainy, and so yeah, we're doing okay.
All right. All in all, what kind of day did the Colts have yesterday with the Baltimore Ravens?
I thought it was a day of progress, frankly, because I think so much of training camp is trying to figure out what in the world you're watching and what it means, right? It's not just who's making plays or what have you. It's also trying to put it in context. They're playing against each other. So you get another jersey out there. I do think it means a lot, whether you make plays or don't against that team. And they consistently made plays, certainly on offense, which is the better vantage point that I had. I feel better about the quarterbacks after yesterday. I'm not a big person when it comes to hyperbole, but I was very pleasantly surprised, and they consistently made plays against the Ravens defense. And that was a very impressive secondary. So I think it means a lot, frankly.
Yeah, Steven, it definitely sounded like, I read your piece, it sounded like a really good quarterback day, even for both guys. At times we probably fall into the Anthony Richardson highlights, but it sounded like Daniel Jones had a really efficient day as well. Let's stick on the quarterbacks for just a second. We know that Shane Steichen said after practice, 1.25 for Richardson tomorrow night, then Daniel Jones will get the 1.25 coming up a week from Saturday. If you had to guess, what does that final week of the preseason look like? I mean, based off what Shane said yesterday, this competition will continue through Green Bay, joint practice next Thursday, the preseason game next Saturday. But that final week, no joint practice, the last preseason game in Cincinnati, would you expect another in-game split, or do you think he wants to commit to one before that final game and give them, a half of football?
I have thought about this, and it could go either way, clearly, but I think the smarter route, in my opinion, and Shane ain't going to ask me, but if he did, I would say let's make a decision after that second game. I mean, you're talking about 3 weeks of practice, 2 joint practices, 2 games. That's a lot of information, right? I mean, that is what's going to change, I would say, in that last preseason game where your opponent probably isn't going to play anyone. You're not going to learn that much, in my opinion. I think they know a lot right now, frankly. We've seen a lot. We have 2 weeks of practice. We have joint practice. You've seen quite a bit. Now, the separation really isn't there between them. They've both, I think, acquitted themselves well. So there's nothing wrong with letting it play out a little more. But I also think you get to a point where you probably need to move forward and you need to get the reps, at least more reps, with the starting offense. Right now, splitting them is great because you're trying to assess. But at some point, you also want the continuity with that starting quarterback. And the more of that you get going into week 1, the better.
Stephen Holder from ESPN. He was in Owings Mills yesterday watching that joint practice and heard A.D. Mitchell's words and then watched A.D. Mitchell seemingly back it up as well. We got into a lot of A.D. Mitchell talk yesterday on the show, Stephen. My biggest question is, where does he get playing time? Like, the talent is obvious. I mean, There's no denying that talent from my end. But I guess, again, how do you kind of view wide receiver plus, I guess, Tyler Warren's presence, too, in terms of it's a good problem to have on paper. But what do you kind of see as consistent playing time for A.D. Mitchell?
I think it's a great question. There is only one football, and there are other guys who are going to be earmarked to get some of those balls, as they should. I mean, Michael Pittman is going to get his because he is reliable and he is a volume receiver. Anthony Richardson, in particular, seems very comfortable throwing him the ball. So he's going to get his. Alec Pierce, they're going to dial stuff up for him because, of course. And then Josh Downs, Mr. Reliable. Tyler Warren, yeah, he might get a few balls, I would say. It is a good problem to have, but it is a real thing. I don't know how it's going to go. I think with A.D. Mitchell, he is the kind of guy there's a conundrum there. And Jim Bob Cooter said this. There's a little bit of a conundrum because he's the kind of guy who he gets better with more opportunity, right? When he got the ball early in practice yesterday and made a few plays early on, and then he starts to feel himself. And now you just can't hold him back because now he's talking and he's vibing out there and he's ready to roll. That's who he is, and he is a very emotional player. So you get more out of him by giving him more opportunities. But I don't know where the opportunities will come from. It is a real conundrum, and I don't have the answer. I don't think the Colts have the answer. But I would say this: they see there a guy who has. I don't think this is hyperbole. They have a guy there who has the ability, in the long term, if he progresses, is the ability to be their number one wide receiver. I really believe that.
Stephen Holder joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. He was at that joint practice with the Ravens and the Colts yesterday. Obviously, quarterback is there. What are some of the other position battles? How many position battles are there even right now? Linebacker, maybe?
Not a ton. Yeah, linebacker, one, obviously the quarterback. We talked about that ad nauseum, but not a ton. And I guess that speaks to the composition of this team. It's a veteran team, or there are at least a lot of veterans. I would say maybe there would be a battle for the third corner if anybody was actually healthy, but they're not. So I don't know where that stands. And then we got Justin Wally getting hurt yesterday, so we still don't have an update there. But there's not a ton of spots up for grabs. I mean, this team to me is the composition of this team is already pretty clear. We know who's playing where and what they're capable of. This team ultimately, their fate will be decided on whether the quarterback, whoever it is, whether that quarterback elevates the team. And that's just, I think, where they are. They're a good team. Outside of quarterback, they're a good team. And then the quarterback will decide the rest of it, in my opinion.
Again, Stephen Holder from ESPN with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Stephen, any clarity on how much the other offensive starters will play tomorrow night? Like, I don't need to see Jonathan Taylor play football, but, I mean, outside of him, you could probably make the case for the other ones. I mean, I think it's important for Anthony Richardson to be behind the starting O-line for at least a bit. Any idea on how much the other 10 will play?
A little bit of an idea. I don't think it'll be I don't think the key guys will play. Certainly Jonathan Taylor, I would be stunned if you ever saw him at all this preseason. You can, on defense, for example, you won't see DeForest Buckner, et cetera. I don't believe Michael Pittman's going to play. You may not get the entire offensive line either, and here's why, because at least not for an extended period of time. The Ravens are not expected to play their starters. Sounds like John Harbaugh already kind of told Shane Steichen how he's going to go about it. As coaches tend to do, they discuss what they're going to do in terms of playing their starters or not. So they've had that discussion, and Shane Steichen doesn't expect them to play a lot of their key players. So they feel a little more comfortable maybe not having a Quentin Nelson out there the whole time with Anthony Richardson, for example, right? So it may be a little bit of mixing and matching offensively for the Colts, but they're okay with that because of who the Ravens are playing.
Yeah, and that's the great part about the joint practices is you get two teams together and both teams can specifically work on exactly what they want to do, exactly the situations they're looking at, all those kinds of things, and then the game comes and whatever happens, but they have the opportunity to put their key guys in specific situations. That's what makes them so great, right?
Yeah, it is. You can script it exactly how you want, like you said, and to some degree, you're really just out there scrimmaging. It's a legitimate scrimmage. You certainly script it in terms of like, okay, this portion of practice will be red zone, this will be 2 minute, et cetera. But everything else within that is independent of each other. The Colts call their stuff, the Ravens call their stuff, and that's what's great about it. When you are practicing against your own team, if you're Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, you know exactly how those corners are going to play, particular routes. You know exactly their technique. The blitzes. You're very familiar with all of those things. You see them every day. And so here, what you have is something you aren't able to plan for because this is not a game scenario. They're just out there playing. So it definitely forces you to adapt a little bit more. and have to kind of show up and be bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. So I thought under those circumstances for them to perform the way they did, I think it means a lot and definitely carries weight.
All right. Have fun at the game tomorrow night. Be safe coming back. And I guess when you get back, it'll be time for school and your kids right now, right? That's how it goes.
I think today's the first day of
That's
school.
what I'm
in fact.
saying,
So,
yeah.
here we go. Here we go.
All right, buddy.
That was
Enjoy
for
it.
Mike.
Be safe.
All right.
There
Thanks,
he is.
Steven.
Stephen Holder joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline right there. So having said all that, like, what are the most interesting things for you for the Colts tomorrow night? Just Anthony Richardson and how he performs?
Yeah, I mean, that's the obvious one. A.D. Mitchell in a game setting. We have seen him have flash before in practices. So I assume he would get a good amount of run. So looking forward to him in a game setting. I did see it might be a little thing to some people, but I did see Spencer Schrader. It sounded like missed from 50 yards yesterday to end practice. I think it was Jones got the starting offense into field goal range. I think the Richardson 2-minute drive stalled out, if I read that correctly. Jones got them into field goal range. Schrader missed wide left. Schrader has had a nice percentage here in camp in this joint practice, but he has missed several times from 50+.
Which is what the Colts have been looking for.
Exactly. So that would be an item that I'll be watching for. You brought up linebacker as a position battle. It's definitely one. Next to Zaire. And again, we didn't see Zaire Franklin yesterday. So, that is not an answer we're going to get tomorrow, Jeff. But, we're a month away from the regular season opener tomorrow, September 7th. Zaire Franklin is yet to take an 11-on-11 rep in this year. So, is that of concern at all? Again, he's back to practice, but we didn't see him out there yesterday. So, that's just something to keep an eye on as well.
I'm going to ask the total nerdy question that there are some people out there wondering, and other people probably haven't thought about that much.
Can we interrupt for a second?
Oh boy, have we found something? Oh boy, I was about to
I've
to
gone
ask
above
the
Kevin's
best
head.
question.
Whoa.
I've texted your wife.
Oh boy,
She claims you are completely wrong on this whole situation,
Whoa.
and that you're drinking Kool-Aid Bursts, Berry Blue. She said, these are what my mom gets him. He's confused on the brand.
No. This is official Mondos.
Nope. She's texting me. I'm texting with her right now. She
We
said
need a
Kool-Aid.
picture of the bottle.
She said Kool-Aid Bursts, Berry Blue kids drink. They're a 6-count at Kroger.
Can you
Kool-Aid.
show me a picture of these?
She said he's confused about the brand. I said I'm gonna kill him.
Well, that seems a little harsh.
man. Oh, he's got to show you the screen now.
Let me see this.
Can you read us the conversation?
Kool-Aid Burst, LOL. He's confused about the brand. That's why mom gets for the kids. And Mark goes, oh my God, I'm going to kill. And Maddie laughed at that. Boy, I don't know if I like that.
So I've gone above your head, and you're the idiot here.
Nothing like Maddie dropping Rosie off on her first day of school, and here's Mark Dykton bothering her.
I told her, I said, I hate to bother you over something so stupid, but your husband's giving me hell here. So you got Kool-Aid Bursts? You're having me try to go to Atlanta or Texas, and I could just buy
I
this
want
at
official
Kroger.
Mondos.
No,
That's
you
what
can
the
get
bet
the hell
was
outta
agreed
here.
to.
I wonder.
I'm seeing him at all these groceries.
I think he knows this, and he wanted to see if you could find some Mondo.
I mean,
for
I
him.
will happily go to Smyrna, Georgia when I go to Florida in October.
Can
and
James
I'll buy you
Boyd
some.
bring some back?
No, they aren't even available in Maryland. It says Georgia and Texas. But apparently, and Elijah
You need to find out who
Robertson,
distributes that.
Reesbacks, food markets, Food Town. I'm seeing it everywhere. Namde, Mon Farmers Market, Randall's.
You need to look up the distributor.
They're
for that.
everywhere. Tom Thumb. Come on,
I mean,
Mark.
I'm going off of now. Are you saying your wife is incorrect now?
Yes, I will challenge her.
Okay.
on the air.
Yes.
She says you're confused,
She
and I
doesn't
kind of
listen to
believe
the
that.
show. Let's
actually.
be honest.
I think we've settled it. Kool-Aid bursts are coming your way.
Kool-Aid Burst. That's such a knockoff. I'm with
That's
Mondo.
apparently what it is.
By the way, cotton candy beer last night wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be.
What did you think it was going to be like?
Well, I thought it was gonna be horrific.
Too sweet?
Yeah, I was hesitant, but I actually thought it was halfway
So
decent.
how would you describe the taste then? Just
I mean, it
like
is
a
cotton
hint?
candy-y, to say the least, but it got the job done.
All right.
The fair was a very packed house last night. The $2 Tuesdays is no joke.
What were the kids into?
What they have? Corn dog, hot dog, the dinosaur ride. They did a choo-choo train ride. Rosie was mesmerized by the roundup. Have you been on the roundup?
Is that the one that spins around?
The one you stand up and you spin around.
Yeah. No. That looks like hell to me.
It looks like the definition of hell. Have you been on that, Mark?
No, we did go yesterday, though, because $2 Tuesdays. We did Crazy
Oh my gosh,
Mouse.
no one goes to the fair more than Mark.
Well, we did because the girls hadn't gone yet, and it's $2 Tuesdays, and like, hey, that's probably our last time going. Although Bill Murray's band is playing Friday, I kind of want to see that. We'll see. But no, we did Crazy
The
Mouse.
comedian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His band is playing.
Really?
Uh-huh. Free stage on Friday. Bill Murray and the Blood Brothers or something. No, we went to that. So we did the Crazy Mouse roller coaster. The girls did another roller coaster. They did like kind of like not a haunted house, but like one of those like almost like jungle gym things where you can climb up and go down slides and stuff and everything.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So we did that. Got some key lime milkshakes. Did all that stuff.
Yeah, the
and,
dairy bar never disappoints. Extreme sculpting was something the Bowen family was really interested in. Have you seen this guy?
Yes.
Oh my
What's
gosh.
he use?
That was
like
impressive.
chainsaws, I guess, to sculpt.
But I mean, wood. I guess.
Yeah, like
that's
real, like
that's the medium.
yeah. And he does it, I think, like every 2 hours. We were mesmerized by that.
There's some
Yeah, it was a fun
incredibly
time.
talented people in this world.
Yeah, there is.
Really crazy.
I want Mondos.
Well, you're not getting them apparently.
Well, but the bet was for Mondos.
agreed to
right?
Mondos. The bet
The bet
wasn't
was
about
agreed to.
some obscure Kool-Aid blast drink. The bet was agreed
Can
to.
I interpret what I hear happening today?
Mark, do you know what
I think-
Do you know what happens if people at the fair agree to bets and it goes wrong?
Well, they have to eat an extra
have to
like
ride the roundup.
cheese slider. What are
you
you
have to
talking
go on the
about?
roundup.
It doesn't go well.
Well, apparently, okay. I
There are
agree.
Mondos out there in the world, and it's your job to find them.
I agree
That's
to-
how the bet was agreed to.
I agreed to this because you said your mother-in-law got them recently, and you said I was like, wow, they've been discontinued in 2021. And you said no, they're back. I
Kevin,
said okay.
true story. Did you know that it wasn't a Mondo that you've been consuming?
It looked exactly like a Mondo to
So
me.
it
So you
looked
were
like it.
convinced that it was a Mondo.
Yes.
So just because your brain doesn't work doesn't mean that I'm on the hook for something that's available in Texas and Georgia.
Do we need to go back and listen to the audio of the bet? The bet
You
was
Matt, you
a
just said
Reds
you are
Cubs
confused.
But the
series
bet-
win
true.
on the Mondos. The
You know-
bet had nothing to do with what I drank at my mother-in-law's house.
He's
it was
right on
simply
this, Mark.
the bet was
You made a
Reds
bet for
Cubs
Mondo.
winner was for a Mondo. Six
Okay,
pack
let
of
me go
Mondo.
to the junkyard and dig one up from 2020 when they were last made.
Well, apparently they weren't last made. Then you can get them in
It
certain
says
places.
discontinued in 2021, Jeff. I will send you.
Then
the,
why do they have these at other places, so to speak?
Just 'cause- I don't know if you know this, but the internet lies sometimes. Just because there's a picture of something on the internet doesn't mean it's actually there.
Shout out to 7th-round pick Hunter Wooler yesterday. 2 interceptions. This is the Wisconsin safety. He's a guy that, again, I think we've talked a little bit about since the draft happened. Most 7th-round picks, you'd almost rather go undrafted.
It's
You'd
tough.
You'd rather pick your spot.
You're kind of an afterthought.
And Hunter Wooler walks into the Indianapolis Colts, and the depth chart is exactly what you would want for him. He has been a guy that at Grand Park has brought physicality, and yesterday it sounded like he ended both of the 2-minute drives. Picked off Lamar Jackson as a sub-package guy in the first-team defense, of course, and then picked off Cooper Rush after that. So Hunter Wooler, number 30, for those watching tomorrow night, he has had a really, really nice camp, and I think he's somebody that definite bright spot and a day 3 pick that does not need to worry about his roster spot. I think he's on the team and honestly could factor into maybe some fringe playing time.
Maddie has chimed in one more time. She says, I trust that the true Mondos were discontinued in 2021. So now you're going against your wife here, and that's a dangerous game, my friend.
Thank you, George.
I like that
Mark's
you're
going to
turning
need to
his-
use
his
his
family
resources
against him.
and get some of those shipped up to Indianapolis. Yes, again, a bet is a bet. I have paid all of my bets with Mark. Hell, even Jeff eventually paid his bets to Mark.
I also don't
It
want
would
you
be
to
a
get
shame
sick.
if Mark didn't pay this bet.
Okay, if you get sick from something from 2021, that's not on me anymore. You'll get 'em.
Here's the thing: the little known story about my delayed payment is I had to look far and wide for your
You did.
payoff.
You did.
And when I
Uh-huh.
found them, did I not go over the top in the amount that I sent to your doorstep?
You
Right.
did, but it was also found on Amazon.
I'm just
which
saying
these
there's
are
a
not.
precedent that has been set here.
Jeff delivered. Period.
Yeah, I also told him where to buy them. He said, "Where do I get them?" I said, "Amazon."
Because
like,
you had spent plenty of time looking for that.
totally easy, and give a discontinued treat from 2021
I had
under
actually
false
spent
pretenses.
I had actually, Mark, spent time looking for those things in the stores here in Indianapolis and couldn't find them.
I'm glad Jeff's on the same page with me.
Hmm?
Mark, if
You're on Team Jeff, I'm on Team Maddie. So.
Mark, if your Cubs would have beaten the Reds, I would pay up. So blame your Cubs, man. They
I'll happily pay up.
They just can't play quality baseball.
This isn't going anywhere. Let's check things down in the meantime right now,
Matthew
Mark.
says I'm going to end up divorced over this damn drink. Well, Matthew, that'd be quite the story.
I hope not. Everybody is just escalating things to the max with everything this morning, Kevin. What's going on there? I mean, Mark early on was escalating things far beyond where they needed to be.
I had to go to the true leader of the Bowen household and go to Maddie to get an answer here. And she said, well, he's confused as always. He's an old man. So
texting my wife on the side also seems a little bothersome as well.
I've helped out in other,
Beers with Bowen, the people in the YouTube chat are talking about. We should bring back Beers with Bowen. I forgot about that.
Why don't we do it?
Let's do that.
Mondo's with Jackass. Let's call it that. How about that? Let's rebrand this thing.
Should we check down what's going on?
Sure.
All right. The Indianapolis Colts had no problems looking for what they or finding what they were looking for yesterday.
I like that, Jeff. Very well done there.
Sound like a pretty good day for the Horseshoe yesterday, enjoying practices with the Ravens, Kevin.
Yeah, Stephen Holder and James Boyd both joined us here over the past hour. Anthony Richardson got the initial start, and it sounded like he had a very nice day. A couple big plays as well in the passing game. Daniel Jones followed that up and, pretty much was his efficient self. So, honestly, what we've seen so far, of course, the competition being different. Big day from A.D. Mitchell. We mentioned a couple of the defensive highlights. Again, one of the Ravens writers I read described Lamar Jackson's day as uneven. So anytime you make an MVP, have an uneven day, I would say that's promising. Honestly, on the negative side, the only thing I really saw was a lot of false starts from the starting offense. And it did sound like the tight ends for the Ravens had a big day, which if you look at it, I want to say the Colts play the top 5 tight ends in the league from this past season.
That's a pretty good group of tight ends in Baltimore, too.
Right, but that's who the Colts play this year.
Yeah.
They play Bowers, they play Kittle, they play Kelsey, they play Trey McBride and Jonnu Smith. So that would be something just to keep an eye on.
I'm glad you brought up George Kittle because he is an unhappy camper. Did you hear this story yesterday?
I think I saw a headline, but I did not.
The NFL has
anything.
now banned any sort of smelling salts, ammonia, anything like that, because they say it can mask the symptoms of concussion, and they don't want that. So they've outlawed those. You're not allowed to use them anymore. And apparently George Kittle has been using them on the regular before series even start. And he said, quote, "I'm distraught. I don't know what I'm going to do without this stuff." How about that? Starting every series by getting a little whiff of smelling salts before you run out there.
Can't they just go in that blue tent and do whatever they want in there?
As long as they don't get caught, right? They'll get fined like anything else, I suppose.
I mean, it's not a performance enhancer, really, is it? It's not.
George
it's
Kittle
like
seems
that.
to think it was helping him out. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't see what the big issue is.
I think we should bring some in and see how it affects you.
Oh, I would
as
love
you
some
run the
smelling
show.
salts here.
Maybe I'll need it for the first hour, Mark. Maybe that's the key for me.
Keep you on track.
Wake me
here.
up here.
Did you know the station numbers and all that stuff?
That's right. So it's been a rough morning. That's right. Rough night for the Indiana Fever last night, Kevin. They fell behind early, tried to scratch their way back. Then they got behind even further. Then they made a furious run. But in the end, they lose by 9 to the Los Angeles Sparks.
Yeah, defense was awful in that first half. Honestly, it was a really entertaining first quarter, and it was kind of like, okay, who's going to be the first one to kind of blink? And it was definitely the Fever there. So, yeah, really, really poor on that end of the floor. Honestly, offensively, little issue. Kelsey Mitchell was great. Assists were great. Turnovers were at a minimum there. So, yes, very poor defensively, and glad to see that everyone was safe from the UFO that flew onto the floor there late in the first half.
Any comment on that, Mark?
No, I'm getting texts from other people now saying check Dollar Tree, potentially.
You're giving him something right in his wheelhouse, and he's not even picking that
It's
up.
unbelievable his lack
Man.
of actual pursuit of this. He threw in the towel so
Actual
early.
pursuit, I'm at work right now.
I mean, Jeff worked his ass off to deliver the bet for
He
you.
pushed buy on Amazon. He didn't do anything. He clicked purchase
By the
at
way,
the
I
cart.
Was it a large
I was
purchase
so
for you, though?
impressed by Kelsey Plum's just swift right kick of the neon
The
green
unidentified flying
object
objects, yes.
that was on the floor. It almost hit Sophie Cunningham. I'm thankfully
She
yeah.
laughed, by the way.
Well, yeah, and she's the one that had the tweet about we don't need to be doing this anymore. So, one more game out west for the Fever, Phoenix tomorrow night. So DeWanna Bonner round 2 They are a 6-point underdog.
That'll be another late one. Starts at 10, 9:45, the Fan pregame show with Eddie Garrison. Also last night, I believe this is what started this is when the fight started. Because the Reds got a huge home run from Spencer Steer, the go-ahead 3-run home run in the 7th. He had 4 RBI, and the Reds beat the Cubs 5-1, also securing the series and securing what you thought was a fairly simple a bet, Kevin Bone, before it turned into what it's turned into today.
I can't believe Mark texted my wife. I got people reaching out saying that's what I should be really mad about.
Shouldn't be mad about anything. I was getting clarification because Kevin's not giving me any help here. He says your mother picked these up the other day, and she said, no, he's confused. They're Kool-Aids from Kroger. Just because you had a pie in the sky, like you took a sip and you went back to the 90s and thought they were Mondos, doesn't mean that they are so.
I'm glad other people are helping you do the job that you seemingly can't do.
All right. Dodgers also got a win yesterday over the Cardinals. 12-6 was the final score there at Victory Field last night. The Omaha Storm Chasers won better than the Indianapolis Indians, 7-6. Those two teams will play again at 1:35 this afternoon, just right off the edge of downtown. Mark, anything else before we go to break here?
Thank you. This
No,
is
I
from
think we're
Jason. He goes, loyal listener. I can hook Mark up with some Mondos. It's just it's absolutely pathetic.
I want to know if these are they just going to say you have Mondos written on like black Sharpie?
The lack of dedication here. Jason, I will send you the address to our station. And Mark, I assume you can
Thank you,
Venmo
Jason.
him. I don't know. Do you need me
Discontinued
to
in
Venmo him like I
2021.
Venmoed you for the Rudy movie?
Sure. Again, I am willing to spend. I want to spend. I want to get this bet paid off. I'm usually a quick pay guy.
Sounds like it, yeah.
But can't do something that was discontinued in 2021.
Well, I've got one other Colts-related item for both you guys coming up in a minute, something that I know both of you will have an interest in, and we'll talk about it next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. It's all about the Mondos this morning. Did you know, Kevin, that there's an actual Wikipedia page for Mondo?
Oh, no shock there.
Here's what I'm going to read you, and then I have a question for you. In just trying to settle things down a little bit, okay?
Kevin and I need to hug it out before the end of the show. I feel
Here's
like
what
that's
it
going to
said.
happen.
It's unbelievable. I have to do Mark's dirty work, and
I'm not doing any dirty
I
work.
have them delivered.
Okay,
now.
guys, hang on. I'm going to read you from the Mondo Wikipedia page, which of course means it absolutely has to be true, right, Mark?
Exactly.
Mondo was a line of fruit-flavored beverages marketed primarily towards children, manufactured and distributed by the Gelsert Company. Production of Mondo began in 1991 and ended in 21 or 22. Mondo resembled both Kool-Aid Bursts and the discontinued Betty Crocker Squeeze-It. The product, referred to as Mondo Fruit Squeezers by the company, was sold in 6-packs in recyclable plastic containers. So here's my question for you, Kevin. If the production of it stopped in 22, as could be the latest time here, do you want to consume a Mondo that's been sitting on a shelf for 3+ years?
If it even still sitting on a shelf.
Yeah,
That's a grocery store I don't want to shop in if they have stuff from 3 years ago still sitting on the shelves.
Of course I do.
You're still good with that?
Have you seen what I've put in my body over the years?
Now, if you want to get really into the weeds, there are 11 different flavors. Is there a flavor you
legendary
prefer?
berry is what I would prefer.
The
but,
legendary berry is one of them.
Also
yes.
known as Berry Burst in the Kool-Aid department.
And thank you to listener Jason from Houston. He is delivering them to the station here. And, of course,
How long have they been in his garage?
Mark of no help whatsoever.
How long have they been in his garage?
And I need it. Where did he
my
buy them?
team won. Now I have to pay up my own bet. I mean, it's pathetic here how Mark is handling this.
The game went final at like 9:30 at night last night, so we didn't know the final results until then. I have to be up for work. I haven't had time to go shopping yet.
So one Rick Carlisle item I thought, again, he was on with Caitlin Cooper podcast. You mentioned it a little bit earlier about how, saying Benedict Mathurin, is going to be the starting 2 guard. It's his job to lose, however you want to look at it. I thought it was interesting at one point, Rick, and again, a great listen with Caitlin Cooper, said there's one player he feels like he needs to protect next year. Did you happen to catch that, Jeff?
I heard some of that in the car, and I may have been distracted because I was teaching my kids to drive last night. But
well, that's a very important job. Who do you think that one player would be that they need to protect?
Just a little bit. Off the top of my head, I would probably say, no, I don't know. I really don't know. Who are you going to protect?
He's sitting in Drew Nemhard, and
in what sense protect?
Well, I think there's only so much you can put on Nemhard's plate for next season. And what you asked of him, particularly on the defensive end of the floor in recent years, and definitely last year, certainly in the Oklahoma City series, you can't ask of that anymore. Because now you're asking him
to run the team,
get everybody involved, play, a ton of minutes. And, he pointed out with Caitlin yesterday, how many times did you get a few minutes in the game and Nemhard already had a foul or two versus Tyrese Halliburton seemingly never in foul trouble. Now, again, their defensive prowess is different, but, when you're facing Atlanta and he's got the Trae Young assignment, or the Knicks and he's got the Jalen Brunson assignment, or Memphis and he's got the Ja Morant assignment, I think those assignments now go out the window. Like, that's got to be someone else's responsibility. And now how does that look? Is it Mathurin? Is it Nesmith? Like, what's the domino effect off of that? But, Rick has always been, and he certainly continues to be very high on Nemhard and mentioned kind of late game situations. He called Siakam the new closer for next season, but, him and Nemhard will be involved in a lot of actions there. But, this kind of gets back to a conversation we've had with the Pacers is, the roles you're going to ask these guys to play next year, and Nemhard and Mathurin are the two atop the list, they're not really the roles you ask them to do with Tyrese Halliburton. So how do you view that? Like, how do you evaluate those guys when
I don't know that you have a choice, though, do you?
When Halliburton comes back, their roles are different. Do we get overly critical with Nemhard next year?
Do you just go right back to where it was?
Right. Like, do you pay Benedict Mathurin based off what he does next year?
I think you do. If he performs,
but that's not the role that he's with once Tyrese Halliburton comes back.
Well, but then I think you have. Look, we saw what he's capable of doing, and we've seen what he's capable of doing. To your point, how consistent can he become? Rick seems to think he's going to get there. Now, is that just off-season hype? I don't know. But he talks about that. I know it's going to be a good problem to have if Tyrese comes back healthy and Matherin, you're getting the best of him, and we see what Nembhard is and continues to grow in his game, and we also see Neesmith. You found a way to make it all work before. I think you'd be able to do it again, wouldn't you? Even though the roles have changed just a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know if you're totally hearing me out on this. Like, if Matherin becomes a lead scorer in the starting unit next year,
right?
Other NBA teams are going to view him as that. The Pacers are going to say, hey, once Tyrese Halliburton comes back, you're not a lead scorer in the starting unit. So,
but I think
does that mean the Pacers are going to match his value? And then, like, Nembhard, it's not the same thing because he's under contract, but, like, if Nembhard has a great year as a point guard next year, are there going to be some other teams that are like, hey, wait a minute, we would love for him to be our point guard?
So here's the way I look at it. When Tyrese comes back, he's going to be your point guard. I think we've seen that Tyrese doesn't feel like he needs to be option number one scoring. Obviously, he was terrific in the clutch, and maybe he continues to be your clutch guy. But if you bring him back and Matherin becomes a consistent 18 to 22 point a night performer, you're going to find a way to take advantage of that. And maybe then you use Nembhard in a completely different way. He's the guy I would think that has shown versatility and the guy that will probably be, his role continues to change as those guys come back and assert themselves. That's how I look at it.
League value could be very different for these guys.
Well, but it's also like any team at some point, you can't afford to pay everybody.
Sure.
Everybody
and again,
up, right?
I think the crossroads of February next year is going to be fascinating for this team of if all of a sudden, Matherin looks really good, then, you can't extend him within the season. Are you just going to hope and pray that the free agent market plays out well for you? Or is there going to be a certain value that, let's throw a random team out there. The Trailblazers view Matherin as a lead scoring guard. Are you going to risk getting to free agency and playing that game with him? You already let Turner walk for virtually nothing. You're going to let Matherin walk for virtually, like, you're starting to get into these situations as a team where these are some of the, I think, the harder decisions for the next Halliburton window that you have. So Matherin and Nembhard especially, probably Matherin more because, again, the second contract hasn't been there yet for him. I think that's going to be so interesting, not only to see his own role here and his growth, but then when it comes time to bleeper get off the pot, what exactly do the Pacers do with him?
And one thing we do know, in any sport, any team, anywhere, because of the dynamic nature of contracts and guys performing, and this guy's contract is coming up and this guy is doing this or whatever, and the fact that there is a salary cap and a limit, when Tyrese Halliburton comes back, it's not like it's just going to be, all right, just reset it to the way things were when we started Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and everything is just going to be exactly like that. We've already seen Turner move on. Things are going to change in that backcourt as well. And to your point, by February, we're probably going to know what that backcourt moving forward is going to look like a little bit, because they will not, if everybody continues to play well, they won't have enough money to pay everybody. They just won't. And that's the reality of any NBA team, right? So, yeah, you're right. It's fascinating. And if both of them are playing at their very best, now you got decisions to make, right? Do you think that Matherin will be playing his very best by February?
I think Matherin will look good in this role. I think this role probably suits him best, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the role a little bit in Game 7. When Halliburton's out and you need Matherin to be the lead guy, that is what suits him probably the best of any role.
What I did hear, though, is the caveat that Rick was like, yeah, he'll get there, but he needs to continue to learn how to play within our system, is essentially what he said. So it will be fascinating. And they'll get back together, early October, and start figuring out a way forward.
Yeah, I feel like camps usually starts in late September. But
they get together in late September, but they start getting on the floor early October. And guys do this, that, the other thing. All right, forget the Mondo. I've got something that will interest both of you next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Mark, is that a peace offering right there? Do I hear a peace
It's all
offering?
peace on my side. Kevin's the one that's hostile today.
I would have played. You've got a friend in me.
You did make the bet for the Mondos, though. I mean, he's a little disappointed.
He
Under the
did.
false pretenses that they were back in production.
Thank you to Jason from Houston. He is delivering the Mondos.
Does he have a? Can I see a picture of those things? Are they actually?
Unlike Mark Dykton.
How do we know they're not the
Jason
Kool-Aid thing just
following
That's what I'm
through.
saying. I think they are actually the Kool-Aid ones. Maddie is correct in this, and that Kevin's just confused.
I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday, but the Indianapolis Colts unveiled their 2025 game day food offerings at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Okay, give them to me.
Chef Tony's smoked chicken wings. And I will tell you this, the pictures of these things look fantastic. It says, the fullback dive of game day food, a straightforward smack of flavor.
I love that.
Virtually guaranteed to deliver what you want from it. Colts culinary veteran Tony Miles' trademark wings have a mild, sweet flavor and the almost glassy exterior made possible by smoking. The barbecue pork rib sandwich, Mark, that seems right up your alley.
That sounds
right there.
outstanding already.
Now, is this like one specific stand, or is this
This is,
available throughout?
I think it says throughout. It says a sturdy hoagie roll cradles 2 pork rib patties that are about as soft as the bread itself, plus a generous coating of barbecue sauce and a scattering of pickles and red onion slivers.
Sold.
You in on that?
Yes, of course.
The brat sandwich. To borrow a technical culinary term, the article says essentially the burgerification of a bratwurst. A malty pretzel bun totes a Fisher Farm sausage patty topped with sauerkraut and cloaked in beer cheese, Mark.
Not a sauerkraut fan per se,
I'm a
but
big beer cheese fan.
Are you?
yes, I was going to. Kevin and I agree there.
The Tap has a beer cheesesteak that I absolutely love.
Oh,
Yeah, I can do without the sauerkraut, but I'm right there with you guys. It says one could argue this dish could be just a standard brat on a hot dog bun, but I'd argue the point of concessions isn't to ask, should we, but rather, can we?
Someone reached out earlier and said that preseason ticket prices had gone down. Is that
Have
true?
they? If they have, then I rescind part of what I had to say, because there are still a lot of teams that charge full price. So I don't know if it's a league-wide thing or maybe I'm behind by a year.
It's just kind of wild how, again, we brought this up earlier, Anthony Richardson will play much more tomorrow night on the road than he will at home in front of the fans a week from Saturday. And that's like the trend in his career so far. He has played a lot on the road in the preseason and barely, if at all, at home. It's just kind of a bummer. And, I get people are like, well, it's preseason football, whatever. But, if you're going to attend those games, and, it's a great point. Jake does an awesome job with this, of people that don't want to go to preseason games, giving tickets away. And,
That's the thing to do.
It's
If you can.
it's a little disappointing for those that do want to see Anthony Richardson next week. You're only going to see him for whatever, a series or two.
Google says NFL preseason games are generally not sold at a discount compared to regular season prices. However, there are some opportunities to find deals such as discounts in the secondary ticket market or through independent companies selling game experiences.
Now, is the internet lying there? Like Mark says it's lying with Mondo's, so we probably should clear all this up.
Mark?
I mean, they're definitely lying about Mondo. See, I clicked on the Randall's thing, it says out of stock. I clicked on the market thing, out of stock.
Listener Jason is also, I said, Jason, let me know how much. I will Venmo you.
No,
And he
I will Venmo
said,
him.
No, it's on me. Thank you for everything you guys do. So not only have I found the prize that I won,
Now you have something
I
to hold over his
also
head, too.
have secured payment for it. I mean, it's Mark, do you need me to carry you to your car today?
I mean, I'm not going to turn that down if you offer. It's a hot day
You want to
outside.
piggyback ride at the
No,
state fair later?
Can I see? Well, I would love to go back to the state fair all day, every day. Do we have a visual of these actual drinks? I would like to see a picture of them.
No, I've not asked that. I'm very grateful
gonna
for
show
his
up.
offering, and
See,
I don't
they're
need
gonna
to
be
bother
Kool-Aids.
this man like
They're
you
gonna be
bothered my
Kool-Aids.
wife this morning. By the way, shout out to Rosie Bowen. Just dropped off at her first day of school. She did.
Go Rosie.
Mark, do your girls do the little it's my first day of school picture?
Yeah,
thing?
the chalkboard and everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The one that Maddie has, you list like your favorite food. You list what you want to be when you grow up. Rosie's favorite food, fettuccine Alfredo,
Just sound like her dad.
just like her father. And what does Rosie want to be when she grows up? I'm stunned by this. I thought literally Maddie thought I had taken the board and written it. She wants to be a coach.
Look at that.
Ooh.
Look at the next Stephanie White, Rosie
She's
Bowen.
gonna start coaching you in
the
the
next
in the
Lynn
driveway.
Dunn, Rosie Bowen.
I think you just put whiteboard
the
on the
next
Christmas
Muffet
list.
McGraw, Neil Ivy.
Dry erase whiteboard
A
for
whistle
Christmas.
and a whiteboard
Yeah.
from Chris Kringle this
Yeah,
year.
I think
Right?
And a gift card to Olive Garden.
And maybe a Mondo in her stocking
Well,
if she's so lucky. From
Santa
Uncle Mark.
can't pull everything out of his hat.
We'll see if Uncle Mark can find that. By the way, I do have an Uncle Mark. Shout out to Mark Dennis.
That's Mark
Sounds
with a
smart.
K or with a C?
He spells with a K.
All right.
Well,
You can
He's
differentiate.
on the other
two.
side of the aisle at the meetings then.
All right. So a mixed production day for you, Mark.
I think I've been all stars and stripes here. I think I've been knocking it out of the park.
We've had a low bar. Jeff's first hour created a pretty
That was
low
not
bar.
good. That was not good.
Mark, I think a little bit above that.
I sleptwalked through the first hour. I'm not gonna lie.
That's because you stayed up till midnight.
It was about 1:30 by the time it was all
Good
said and
Lord.
done. All right.
You got to go to the state fair, get some cheese in your gut, and then you'll go to sleep relatively easily. Take a sip of Pepto-Bismol, and you'll be good to go.
That's what we all need.
By the
Cheese in
way,
our
one of
guts
the
at
big tractor
bedtime.
trains had a flat tire yesterday. Can you imagine? Like changing that just in the middle of like
the crowd of people,
Yeah.
the swell on $2 Tuesdays.
5:30
That
at
could be-
$2 Tuesdays.
That could be a show in and of itself.
Oh my
couldn't it?
gosh, yeah.
Jeff Rabjohn's going to stop by talk Indiana basketball. They are out of the country this week. We'll do it next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Somehow, someway, we've made it to the 9 o'clock hour without any blows being delivered by either Mark Dykton or Kevin Bowen. And we'll get back to that a little bit later on because I'm sure it will not go away. But in the meantime, we've been talking a little basketball this morning. We heard some comments from the head coach of the Indiana Pacers, Rick Carlisle, not too long ago. And now we got the Indiana Hoosiers who are playing a couple of games out of the country. Well, they're in Puerto Rico, not quite out of the country, but they're going to be down there. And they're going to be doing their at least preseason exploits in Puerto Rico. And joining us now from that site is Jeff Rabjohns, who is always kind to us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Good morning, Jeff. How you doing?
Good morning. Fantastic. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah. So are you reveling in the weather down there? Is it perfect summertime weather, or is it a little too hot and humid? What's going on?
No, it's phenomenal. But by the way, was that a little Daddy Yankee for me?
For you. For you.
Puerto Rico,
caught
man.
That. You caught
a little
that.
gasoline. Love that.
That was your walkout music when you walked off the plane yesterday, Jeff.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
So-
I walked up the plane, Daddy Yankee cranking, and I did the Conor McGregor strut. That's right.
This has got to be fascinating for you. Like, who knows what you're going to see in the next 3 games? Everybody's optimistic. They feel good, but this is a completely different overhauled coaching staff, roster, everything from top to bottom, wasn't it?
It is. It's a whole new roster, and the biggest thing is it's not just a new roster, as in they're new players, new faces. It's new concepts, new ideas, new points of emphasis. It's about players who can shoot the ball. Big emphasis was 3-point shooting, which is going to continue with IU's recruiting moving forward. It was an emphasis on players, who have skills. Can they move? Can they pass? Can they create shots for others? I mean, that's one of the things that really stood out about forward Reed Bailey. You really dive into some of the nerdy analytics, and his ability to create passes off 1, 2, 3 dribble moves was really high. And it's a team that's it's all about skill. They focused on skill, and I'm not saying everybody's incredibly skilled, but the focus was on skill more than, okay, we're going to get 2 big bruising centers and we're going to pound the ball inside and, all that. No, it's a different concept, It's going to take a while to implement. And I think one of the things that's always important to keep in mind about these kind of things is, these are trips. A lot of it's about team bonding. They've only had 10 practices. Not a whole lot has been installed for anybody after 10 practices. So it's there's really not I never evaluate scoring totals. Oh, this kid hit 5 threes. Well, he may never hit 5 threes again. He may have had one great moment. Cool. But it may be a one-time deal. But what you do watch is okay, what are they trying to do? Who's getting the shots? What kind of just general offensive schemes are they trying to run? Does it look like there's guys who understand how to move and pass? Those kind of things. So there is a lot to learn, but it's always important to be real careful about projecting from exhibition games. As, if you want the specific IU-related object lesson, they went down to Tennessee and won last year, then didn't even make the NCAA tournament.
Jeff Rabjohns, Pigs, where you find his work, and obviously he's got your coverage down there in San Juan. 3 games for Darren DeVries and company over the next handful of days. Jeff, you guys were able to watch practice last week, and listening to Darren DeVries afterwards, it sounded like he really has little worry about the offensive end of the floor, which when you consider the backgrounds of the guys that he found in the portal, I think that checks. Defensive end, though, a little bit more of a concern. Is that kind of a fair assessment of where things are at?
Well, I don't know if I would go so far. I don't know if I would say he has little concern about the offense. I just think they're further ahead offensively than they are defensively. And I think that's because you got guys who are more offensive oriented. Lamar Wilkerson, he's geared to make shots. Tucker DeVries, geared to make shots. They had different guys. Josiah Miles, a sophomore guard they got out of North Florida, is geared to make shots. Obviously, North Florida led the country in 3-point rate last year. So that tells you sort of the system Josiah Miles in. So I just think they're a little further ahead offensively than they are defensively right now. And that's why I also think you're going to see a lot of emphasis when the regular practices start, and really you've seen it already, but even more so when formal practice starts, you're going to see a lot of emphasis on defense. And we saw that watching practice, really specific stuff, like even when you're doing 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 drills, where are you in certain gaps? Are you positioned correctly? And there were times DeVries stopped it and said, no, man, you can't be a step below the free throw line. You got to be a step above the free throw line. Now do it again and do it right. Boom, blow the whistle, run them through it 3 or 4 times. So there's a lot of emphasis on technique, specific understanding of gaps and spacing, and blocking out. Right now he's got him to where you can't go for a defensive rebound until you turn and block somebody out. Block out first, then go get the ball. And as we all saw with some recent IU teams, even with 2 centers on the floor, they gave up some offensive rebounds that you look at and go, they just shouldn't be giving those up. Rewind the tape. What happened? Well, 3 guys stood around and watched the ball like a rainbow going up in the air. Didn't do anything. So I think you're going to see points of emphasis about that continue as they start to get into practice. And I think the one thing about DeVries that I've learned, watching the practice, talking to some other people, is that he's big on there's certain fundamentals you drill all year long. You make sure that certain things are put in guys' minds. This is important. We're going to make sure you drill it regularly. So I think you're going to see those things be points of emphasis, not just this year, but over the course of Darren DeVries' career and during his time in Bloomington.
I still can't get over, when's the last time we saw, the complete total overhaul? We got, 10 transfers, a freshman and 2 walk-ons retained from last year, and a brand-new coaching staff. I know I talked about it a minute ago, Jeff, but I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like this at a program like Indiana before. Can you think of anything like this?
Well, it is unusual from a historical standpoint, no doubt, but Louisville basically went through the same thing last year. They had basically a whole brand new team. Now it was a little different as far as what you could put together. There were still COVID years that some guy had. You had 6-year guys, and things like that. And the NIL numbers were completely different. But it is something that has happened a few times here and there. Sorry about that. I hear noise starting. Let me see if I can walk. But I don't think it's totally unusual. It is different, though. There's no question it is different. And it is one of those things where in the portal era, you can do it. It's not like when Crean came in after Kelvin Sampson and you had to start with, mainly just freshmen who you hope will become sophomores, who you hope will become good juniors.
Jeff, I'll shift gears here as we close things out. We appreciate the time because I know it's going to be a busy day for you with the first game down there in Puerto Rico coming up tonight. No viewing, by the way, so Jeff Rabjohns and those boots on the ground will be you're going to have to go to get some insight into what happens. But Fernando Mendoza and the Indiana Hoosiers, they have started their fall practice and preseason ranked 19 in the coaches poll, obviously a big one in September with Illinois coming to town. If I could stick with Mendoza for a second, just in your best educated guess, how would you compare his skill set to what we saw with the departing Curtis Rourke?
He's actually better, and that's going to sound crazy, but he's a little bit bigger. There's a little more arm strength. He's just got a little more zip on certain throws. So he's better. He's got a much better chance of just making some really, really impact plays. But the big thing about Curtis Rourke is he threw the ball to the right spot a very high percentage of the time. And that is a skill for a quarterback to have. I think the only real question with Mendoza is he going to be comfortable and totally trust his protection? And I bring that up because last year at Cal, he was running for his life about half the time. Pressure came up the middle from both sides, and he really had to scramble. Now, he made some phenomenal plays on the move, but I think with this offensive line, with Carter Smith back, with Pat Coogan there in the middle now, replacing the great Mike Kadick at center, I think he's going to have a chance to get protection. But Mendoza is actually better. And I know some people may be looking at Curtis Rourke's numbers and going, what in the world is Ravi talking about? I'm telling you, seen him throw in spring, saw him throw in the fall. Fernando Mendoza, he just has more physical tools.
Jeff, always good to hear your thoughts. Have fun watching this new and completely overhauled Indiana team. We can't wait to hear what you see.
Appreciate it. I'm actually looking forward to seeing them watching them play 3 games against teams in a different kind of uniform. Just see what do you got here in August.
Appreciate
Thank you, Jeff.
Talk to you guys.
There he is on the Payless Liquors hotline, Jeff Rabjohns. And it is, I know it has happened occasionally here and there, but it's just wild that a program like Indiana is like, you know what, we're just going to start over.
Welcome to today's college athletics. Welcome to today's world and what that is. I thought Jeff summed it up well. Historically, yes, it is unprecedented, but again, that's how college athletics in the wild, wild west of the portal operates today. And really, the thing about DeVries, it's not like he got, a slew of West Virginia guys. Obviously Tucker, but, for the most part.
Which was the big one.
It
right?
was, yes, very big. But for the most part, this is highly skilled mid-major guys that know how to dribble and pass and shoot, and that's a difference. Now, again, size and rebounding and defense appears to be a bit of a question, so we'll see how all of that plays out. Boy, that last comment from Jeff Rabjohns right there about Fernando Mendoza. I mean, a better Curtis Rourke. And
you'll take that.
You hear Curt Cignetti talk about the potential of the IU offensive line, feeling like that group has a very real high ceiling. And that was the one question about Mendoza, I think, at times with Cal, was he wasn't behind a very good offensive line, so maybe the numbers didn't match up with what Jeff Rabjohns is describing. Again, some NFL draft people have him in round 1 of the 2026 draft. So it's August. Hype can always be, something that maybe isn't the realest, but boy, if that comes to fruition, a better Curtis Rourke behind an offensive line, maybe the Indiana 1-year run in the playoff won't be such a thing. Maybe it'll be 2 years.
Well, and that's what we're waiting to see, because we've had one-off years here and there for Indiana football every so often, right?
Well, nothing like last year.
Right, but the question is now, can you take that year and build on it and make it – you're not going to probably go to the playoffs every single year, but if you can get there and compete for a Big Ten championship every couple of years and you're always right there near the top of the standings, that's a complete change in Indiana football.
One item from Colts in that joint practice yesterday with Baltimore, again, it sounded like mostly positives, really on both sides of the ball. We've talked about it. Baltimore's beat writers were calling Lamar Jackson's day uneven. Anthony Richardson, 10 of 13 last year against the Bengals, and that bad Bengals defense, he was 10 of 20. So, improvement there. Daniel Jones, 14 of 17. So again, a lot of boxes checked. I really hope, for obviously his own sake, but also, from a Colts standpoint, I hope that Justin Wally injury is not anything too long. Knee injury for the rookie out of Minnesota. They said he was icing the knee.
Didn't get carted off.
Late in practice. No, nothing like, taken in or, anything like that. But still, right now your corner depth is being tested without Jalen Jones, the hamstring injury, without Juju Brents. Both of them have missed now a week plus. And Wally is a key guy, and not to look too far ahead, but, again, the regular season opener is a month from tomorrow. And in week 1, it's Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So you want to talk about your cornerback depth being tested, it gets tested right out of the gate. And Travarius Ward and Kenny Moore, the second, are guys that are great players, but they're also getting up there a little bit in age. So them playing a full season and being out there for every snap, what is that wear and tear like? So just something to keep an eye on from yesterday's joint practice.
All right, and look, here's the best part. You get to see the Colts in whatever form they put out tomorrow night against the Ravens, whether they play a bunch of their starters. We know that Anthony Richardson is going to play the first quarter and a half, and then
what do you think on those
against
offensive starters? Who else besides Richardson you think will be out there?
I don't think I don't. If they're not going to play Buckner, do you think they'll play Quentin Nelson all that much? Ryman, they just signed him to a long-term deal.
Do you want the starting offense?
I think you want for a
there?
series or two, don't you, with Anthony Richardson? Don't you give him at least a series or two?
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to see Jonathan Taylor, but I think I'd like to see the starting O-line. And I when I say that, I would like to see Nelson.
See Pittman, right?
I'd like to see Ryman. Pittman's battled the groin a little bit, so maybe you don't see him. But Pittman's so crazy. Every time you think he's going to sit out, he plays.
He's
but
a tough guy.
I would like to see most of those guys
How much,
out there.
How much?
I'd like to see a full quarter.
For the
Like, I live in a different world when it comes to preseason playing time than the Colts. I brought this up to you earlier in the show, Jeff. Last year in the preseason, the Chiefs felt it important for Patrick Mahomes to throw as many passes as Anthony Richardson. Andy Reid and the Chiefs thought it was important for Patrick Mahomes to play as much as the Colts thought it was Anthony Richardson. In what world should Anthony Richardson only be throwing as many passes as Patrick Mahomes in the preseason?
Here's what I didn't understand about last year with Anthony Richardson. I understand if you're a team that says, we're going to get the bulk of our work done in these joint practices. I get that in today's world because of what we talked about earlier. I personally like the fact that you can control situations. All right, we're going to do specific 2-minute here. All right, we're going to do specific this, specific that. I want these guys to be in very defined situations, and I get all that. But with Anthony Richardson, who didn't have a ton of playing time in that first year and looked awful in a preseason game, and I take that back, looked awful in the joint practices, don't you want to give him more time to work himself out of that and figure out if he is a guy that you can count on moving forward, rather than having him not perform well in those joint practices and then going, okay, we're good? That's what I didn't get.
Yeah, I understand the joint practices are a rise up in competition. They provide a different evaluation meter, if you will. I understand that. But what's the only position in sports where you wear a different color jersey in practice than you do in a game?
Yeah, because nobody can touch you. And it changes. If you don't think it changes the fact that you know a guy's coming around the edge with bad intentions, it changes everything.
And I watched Baltimore actually had a highlight from their 11-on-11 session yesterday. Richardson and the second team offense stalled out. They did not get into field goal range. Daniel Jones got the starting offense into field goal range late in practice. And I watched one of the plays, and Mike Green, a very talented pass rusher, rookie rusher, just roast Blake Freeland off the left side and sacks, and I say that in quotes, Anthony Richardson. We've watched Richardson a lot. A lot of touch sacks don't turn into actual sacks.
No, because he's as big and strong as the guys chasing him.
Those are some of the things you want to see of when he feels that pressure, again, with the red jersey off, how's the footwork? We've talked about wider base and all this. Okay, how does that look like when it's real? When you can get hit from behind? Does that footwork stay the same? Do you see the wider base? Do you see the accuracy on the underneath stuff? So I love that he's playing tomorrow. But again, in past years, I've scratched my head a little bit with how the Colts have handled the preseason.
Did you make anything of the fact that Richardson gets the first start?
Yeah, it's a question I brought up yesterday. I don't know. I don't think I do. Does Green Bay play their starters more? I don't know. How do teams now deal with the 3 preseason games? By the way, Mark, I saw Courtney Cronin's tweet that was the most tackling she's ever seen at a training camp practice in 10 years, the Bears yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they went full pads and they went at it.
Was that
Ben Johnson?
Was that Bears versus Bears, or was that a joint?
I think they have a joint practice coming up with the Dolphins, but I don't know if that's starting there, if that's later. That actually might have been yesterday, actually. So, yeah.
Wow.
And the Dolphins, their secondary is obliterated right now.
Good for Ben Johnson. Yeah, that could be a huge Colts advantage week 1. Jeff, I don't know what to make of that. I don't think I'm going to make too much out of it. Again, if Baltimore, it sounds like will not play their starters tomorrow. At least, for example, Kyle Hamilton was out yesterday for them. So, most of their frontline guys, it sounds like will not play. I would think Green Bay kind of falls into that boat. Isn't Green Bay good? Doesn't Green Bay have all this retention?
Yeah, but there's always one preseason game where a coach wants to see his guys play for at least a quarter and a half.
So I don't know. If Green Bay all of a sudden plays their starters next Saturday, part of me might want to see Anthony Richardson against those guys versus Daniel Jones. But that remains to be seen.
And here's the other thing I always, when they say half a quarter. Well, what happens if they go twice 3 and out? Does that mean that's it? Do you if he's only played 6 snaps, do you put him there a little bit longer than that?
Shane said a quarter and a half.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like Daniel Jones tomorrow night gets a half quarter, and then vice versa the opposite way. If either one of those guys is a situation where they're 3 and out twice, is that it for them for the night?
Oh, no. I mean, I think that would mean you would be more willing to play them. I think sometimes in the preseason you see a great drive or 2, and then you say, all right, we thought a quarter and a half, but you know what? We've seen enough. We'll pull you. No, I think the worse it is, the more you play them. So I think that's kind of how the preseason goes.
So there's not that it's for the starting job, but do we see Riley Leonard for the entire third quarter then tomorrow night?
Yeah, I would think, maybe even into the fourth. I mean, he is definitely taking more of those third-team reps than Jason Bean. So, yes, you will get, I would say, a good amount of Riley Leonard tomorrow. And just a reminder, Fox 59 locally, obviously our airwaves will have Matt Taylor, and that will be Charles Arbuckle joining Matt Taylor. Hopefully Coach Venturi, best health. Sounds like no road games, though, for him coming up this season. So Greg Rakestraw, Joe Wrights,
TV,
along with Lara Overton on the TV. And then radio-wise, Matt Taylor and Charles Arbuckle will have your coverage.
That was bear on bear physicality, I guess. The joint practice with the Dolphins is on Friday.
Is there such a thing as bear on bear physicality?
Apparently so. Ben Johnson's letting it rip.
We haven't seen it for a while.
Sounds like a book Max Bowen would love to read. Maybe you can find that while you look for a Mondo, Mark.
I'll dig deep into the crevices of 2021 and see what I can find.
Gonna bring that back up one more time.
Sure.
Let's check it down. Indianapolis Colts have their first preseason game of the 2025 season tomorrow night in Baltimore. The two teams had a joint practice yesterday. And it sounded like both quarterbacks did well, but Anthony Richardson, who did not have a great joint practice session last year, completely turned things around, it sounds like.
Yeah, much better than last year against Cincinnati. So, that, I guess, kind of, if you sum up Richardson through these 10 practices, I mean, has it been better than last year? If I just ask you that question? Yes. I mean, I think that's pretty simple. So, obviously we'll see when things get realer, i.e. tomorrow night, and as September inches closer, does that continue? But so far, got to be pleased on that front.
Yeah, and a 7th-round draft pick starting to make some waves of his own yesterday. You like that one, too?
Hunter Wooler, safety out of Wisconsin, will probably be, or could be an option, some sub packages, I should say, for Lou Anarumo. Had a pick of Lamar Jackson to end a 2-minute drill. I also picked Cooper Rush. I believe Cam McGrone, the LC product, had the tip ball on that, if I read things correctly there. So, number 30 for those watching tonight, Hunter Wooler. He's brought the physicality in camp. Yeah. Tomorrow night, sorry. He has brought the physicality in camp, and he would be a guy to keep an eye out for right behind Cam Bynum and Nick Cross, probably as your third safety and a special teams role. So, yeah, he's a 7th-round pick that I think is definitely on the team.
Fever kept me up really late last night. They were on the coast. They played against the Los Angeles Sparks. Sparks just seemed to have their number. 191 was the final score last night. LA scored 56 first-half points. And I don't know what it is about the Sparks. I took my son to see them when they were here. Fever lost that one by 10. Then they lost the next game here in Indiana by a pair. And last night they lose by 9. They just can't quite get over the hump against this team. Rakea Johnson, 17 of her 25 in the second half for L.A. Indiana fell behind at one point in the second half, 90-68, then went on a 21-5 run, but came up a little bit short. Azura Stevens, I don't know if you saw this, Kevin, if you watched any of the game, 5 straight threes at one point in time.
Yeah, I watched the whole first half. Woo. It was highly entertaining back and forth. But, yeah, defensive issues. I mean, offensively, the Fever got what they wanted. Kelsey Mitchell had a huge night, and assist to turnover was great, and all of that, but trouble defensively. And, yeah, the Sparks have now beat them each of the last 3 months here. Kelsey Plum, very good. And we did get a little Cameron Brink action last night for the Sparks. So one more out west tomorrow night. So far, 2-1 on this longest road trip of the year. It will be Phoenix, so that means DeWanna Bonner in action. 6-point underdog, as it doesn't sound like Caitlin Clark's return is happening anytime soon.
All right, Kelsey Mitchell, you mentioned 34 points to lead the Fever. Major League Baseball last night, I'll just tell you, Reds beat the Cubs 5-1. Win that series. Spencer Steer, go-ahead 3-run shot in the 7th. Cardinals losing on the road to the Dodgers 12-6. White Sox lost in Seattle 8-3. We just move on from that one?
Well, you'd think they won the World Series the way we were making
much
this all
needed
sound.
Performance by the Reds up there in Wrigley. No surprise that the Cubs look like that and the Reds play like that. Zach Littell, outstanding in his first start in a Reds uniform. And yes, Jeff, Spencer Steer, timely there in the 7th.
Where are the Reds in the wild card race?
And Andrew Abbott today going for the sweep. Can you imagine the old broom?
White Sox keep going to their bullpen. They'll be in the wild card race,
after Mark
too.
Danced all over the Rockies' grave with a 2-game sweep earlier this year.
No. The Dodgers, not the Rockies. Let's step up the level of class here.
2-game sweep, as if that's such a thing.
Anything else you guys want to throw in before we head to break?
Yeah, we mentioned Puerto Rico, of course, for the Indian Hoosiers, 3 games. I think it's like Wednesday, Saturday, Monday cadence down there for Darren DeVries and company. And again, ESPN purchasing NFL Network. So is that impacting the Red Zone for this season? I know some people, the Red Zone that channel's more important than their children.
Well, I've already
paid Sundays during the season.
I've already made a payment to YouTube TV for Sunday Ticket and Red Zone, so they are taking my money, so I'm assuming it's.
And if you don't mind,
this
Mark,
year.
could you reveal that price value because it's up there.
It's the first of 3 payments of $108.
So it's a big item, I guess, is what I'm getting at of what ESPN is acquiring along with NFL
We
Network
just get the DirecTV ticket.
and what the Red Zone package is. So, yeah, I think that's something that NFL fans absolutely love. So the future of that will be interesting to keep an eye on.
I mean, how is that all working? Because like YouTube TV has Sunday Ticket and Red Zone, and now ESPN has it. So is ESPN gonna? I mean, it's getting so complicated with all these streaming services and all that stuff. Like, I don't know how and where money is going for what now.
Yes, I would agree with that. And that's like we're in a little bit more of an age demographic where we're supposed to know those things.
Yeah.
And
now
don't.
it's getting confusing because now WWE pay-per-views are going to be on ESPN's new streaming service. So that's $30. But it's like $30 for the service. And then like UFC fights, it's an additional fee on top of that.
That's a great question.
What's a UFC fight cost these days?
Like $80. Something ridiculous.
And how often do you pay that? $80?
I don't ever pay it. I don't watch UFC at all. Regular. And if I do, I'm going to go to the old Russian stream.
It's probably where you need
That
to
way
go to
it's
find
free.
a Mondo, it sounds like.
Yeah. They might have it still. Cold War era Russia might still have Mondos.
I could see Putin enjoying a Mondo.
Yes. Legendary Berry.
That's where they all went. He just cornered the market on all of them.
That was a low-key, terrific impression of Vladimir.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Because you know what Vladimir Putin sounds
I don't.
like.
I don't even know if that's what he sounds like.
Seen him speak on camera.
All right.
We also have a pineapple twist.
I gotta It's the Fan Morning Show. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Good morning on a Wednesday. Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, Mark Dykton, Jeff Rickard. And I think we have restored, for the most part, peace between you guys today, haven't we? Is that where we're at this point in time?
It's like brothers fight. Brothers fight every once in a while. Sometimes
telling
sometimes
me?
over girls, sometimes over discontinued 90s drinks.
My favorite is I've got a 16, it was soon to be 16, he's going to be 16 next week, and a 17-year-old. And, they're always getting at each other. They love each other, but they're always getting at each other. And when I get in there, somebody says, well, he started it. I'm like, this started when you were 3. It's been going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Kevin and I have worked together for I don't even know how long now.
Yeah.
6-7 years?
Yeah, and honestly, the real brother to me today, shout out to listener Jason in Houston. You guys want to see the picture of his order of the Mondos?
Sure.
Unlike Mark Dykton.
So there's proof here.
But this is in Texas again?
There's proof.
This is Texas?
He has ordered 2 legendary berries, 6 counts, $2.72, Lowe's Market, delivering to his home here late this morning, and he has informed me
That's what it says.
that he will then be sending that up to Indianapolis.
Are we sure this isn't like knockoff Kool-Aid?
Just did you see the picture?
I did, but if they discontinue this in 2022,
So to
what's
update
that
you
product going to
all,
be like?
the bet that was agreed to on Monday, not only did my team win the bet for me, but the loser in this case had to pawn off acquiring what the lost bet was.
It's
to
not pawning
myself.
off. I wasn't
And
driving to
I have
Texas
not
anytime
only
soon.
You got his wife involved.
secured the Mondos, but also have secured it at a price of $0.00.
And you got
Thank
your
you
wife and
to
mother-in-law
Jason,
involved.
and he texted my wife on the side.
Well, because I said, you got to help me out here. Kevin's offering 0 assistance in where your mom acquired these. And she said, again, he's confused. He's an old man. These are actually Kool-Aids that he thinks are Mondos because they look like the bottle, but they're actually Mondos you can buy at Kroger.
Hang
and
on,
then you've now double and triple down and doubting your wife and saying that's not correct.
Did she actually say he's an old man, or did you throw
I've
that part
added that
in?
part,
Yeah.
but she says he's easily confused.
Can't wait to chew on the Mondo cap when it gets delivered. Thank you,
All
Jason,
right,
for that.
Colts will have their first preseason game of the year tomorrow night in Baltimore, checking out some of the things happening throughout the rest of the AFC South. And again, can you imagine over the last several years how different the Colts seasons would be if they could just beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, Kevin? Seriously.
Yeah, boy, if you're not going to laugh, you're going to cry at that comment.
So here's my update,
Yeah.
though, with them real quickly. Everybody's wondering how Travis Hunter is going to be used, right? And here's the thing. Here's the latest from Liam Cohen. He says, logistically, it's something, and using it on both sides of the football, it's something we have to work through. But he doesn't get tired. He's been training in the altitude for years. Our strength coach texted me and said, Liam, this guy's endurance is something I've never seen before. He just doesn't really fatigue. He can run and run, and that's why he struggles to keep weight on because of that. So for him, he's used to just doing both all the time. For us, we got to make sure it's a process. But Liam Cohen says, absolutely, we're going to use this guy on both sides of the football. What do you think that looks like when it's all said and done?
Well, I think him and Brian Thomas next to each other could be super intriguing. And I don't know. Jacksonville's one of those teams that, like, obviously they matter more to us just because they're in, the AFC South. But, what is Liam Cohen?
We don't know yet.
Remember how weird that head coaching search was? They've got this boy wonder.
What, in Jacksonville, it was weird?
This boy wonder GM. And again, Trevor Lawrence resurrection project. I think there's a little bit more faith there than maybe what the Colts are trying to attempt at quarterback. So, Jacksonville is very, very interesting to me.
Duval.
Again, what is he? He seems so interesting. Liam Cohen. I know nothing about him.
Yeah, he's like
Wasn't he Will Levis's offensive coordinator at Kentucky?
going on secret drives from Tampa to Jacksonville and stuff. It's so weird.
Was he Matthew Stafford's position coach, right? Isn't there a little everyone's got a McVay background, right?
He's one of the trees now, right? He's a guy that has sprouting branches.
It's required, I think, to have like a Sean McVay background at some point. You have to be part of the tree.
By the way, when do we start worrying about Caitlin Clark's return? Or do we?
We still got a little bit of time left in the regular season.
We're approaching about a month of an absence, right?
It seems to be standard procedure now for all teams to just not give any kind of injury update on anybody because it creates sometimes false timelines, and then people freak out if somebody's supposed to be back next week and they don't come back for a week ever. It was like 2 weeks ago.
Like All-Star break?
They
right
just
after the
say
All-Star
they just
break?
say we'll update you week to week.
Yeah, they didn't put out. So originally, and this is back probably at the start of the year, maybe even training camp. Remember, they had that update that she'd be out for 2 weeks, and they would reassess things after 2 weeks. We haven't even gotten that with this, but I'm trying to think. All-Star weekend, I want to say she got hurt like the Tuesday or the Wednesday before that All-Star game. So you were looking at maybe July, I don't know, all throughout July, like 16th. So I guess 3 weeks from today.
And you can't convince me that something wasn't bothering her. And we know she had the quad injury, but her shot just didn't look right when she was back.
Away from home, she's been terrible, especially
right, but it just didn't
shooting the
look
basketball.
right. It just didn't physically look right.
So again, the Fever have done a great job, even with their loss last night, in weathering this. But I think you would like to get Caitlin Clark probably at 2-3 weeks. I don't know, let's say 2 weeks of regular season action in before the postseason. Well, the last regular season game is September 9th. So, that would mean she gets out there, I don't know, August 20th, 22nd, something like around there, before, try to get her as close to full speed as possible before the postseason arrives.
All right, come out of a minute. We will finish up strong. There's a reboot of a very popular TV show, and it will feature a baseball pitcher you all knew well. We'll talk about it next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hope you're off and running to a terrific start on your Wednesday here. One more day before we see the Colts in their first preseason game against the Ravens. You'll hear it beginning with our coverage during John's show at 4 o'clock right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. And then on TV you can listen to Greg Rakestraw and Joe Wrights do that. So we're looking forward to all kinds of Colts coverage over the next 24, 36 hours. Did you see Jaren Jackson Jr. was at the Fever Sparks game last night? Check that out.
Mark loved me some Kesha. I've seen Kesha a couple times in concert, so love that from a re-entry standpoint here to close things out.
You always tell that story. Isn't she the one that she like gave up halfway through? She's like, it's too cold. Bye.
No, that was Ellie Goulding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ellie Goulding in her British accent over there at White River.
It's too cold out here.
It was the day of a it had to be one of the first Grand Prix on the road course. So yeah, we me and my buddy Holton, we double dipped.
So you and Kesha go way back.
Well, this was not Kesha. This was
Okay.
Ellie Goulding. But yes, I do go way back with her.
You went to the bar and
with
she was
Kesha.
there or something?
We went to the Eagle afterwards, and she was there. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm like, you stopped after 7 songs. Luckily, she just went 7 bangers and then got off.
That's fine.
So I'm like,
that's
you know,
okay. That's what people wanted to
actually,
hear.
that's
right?
kind of what, I didn't have enough hand warmers to make it through the concert.
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson Jr., no, I didn't.
Yeah, he was out there.
not see
Jalen
him.
Green was there last night, too.
Oh, really?
You always see the NBA. The NBA guys show out and support WNBA quite
Yeah, I
a
saw
bit.
Jalen Brown was front row at their game against Connecticut
Yeah,
a couple weeks ago.
kind of fun to watch. Did you guys see King of the Hill is coming back on Hulu? Mark?
It's already back. I already watched the first like 3
Have you
episodes.
seen it? I know.
Yeah.
Is it worth picking back up again?
It's solid. Yeah, I've enjoyed it so far.
I totally forgot about King of the Hill.
Apparently later on you're going to see Nolan Ryan.
Okay.
He is featured in that one. It says the former Astros and Rangers ace plays himself in the episode, serving as a spokesperson for Pig Force Incorporated, a group that exterminates unwanted hogs. Don't ask for further clarification on this.
I've not gotten to that episode yet. So far, they've him and Bobby have made they've entered like a make your own beer contest. That's where I've gotten so far.
So have they grown from the last time? Or
Oh
does
yeah,
it pick up
this
right
is
where
all
they've
they're
left
all
off?
older and everything like that. So yeah.
So what's Bobby doing these days?
He works at like a hibachi
Oh,
restaurant.
James would be all into that.
Yeah, it's been good so far. I've enjoyed it. I haven't watched all of them though. Only like 3 episodes in.
Yeah. Anything else you've picked up or started, Kev?
I'm trying to think. Maddie right now is watching. What is she watching? Yeah, last night I was on the couch watching Reds, then Fever, and she was upstairs. Gosh, I forget what it is. I think she's maybe moved on from Love Island, which is shocking to me. She was obsessed with that. Is it still going on?
I feel like that show's on every single day.
I mean, they do like 5 days a week. Seriously.
Yeah.
Really?
I asked my brother-in-law.
It's like The Bachelor on steroids.
Just
He
never
said they
stops.
watch it, and I said, "How do you keep up with these?" Like, it's hard. Like
Wednesdays and Sundays are the only days they take
Yeah.
off.
yeah.
Man,
I'm like, you missed one episode and you're behind.
I've never seen an episode of
No,
Love
me
Island.
either. I don't want to get.
I'm okay
now
with
that I
that.
know how involved it is, I don't want to watch it.
I do have to watch The Bachelor sometimes.
You do. You as much as I shouldn't endorse it, I mean, you do have to watch a Love Island or two just
Is it
to
worth
see
the drama?
craziness. Oh, yeah.
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 I started watching.
It'll make you feel better about your life.
Told you off the air, Mark. I started watching Poker Face.
That's a good one. I like that one. It's a very good show.
I'm about 3 episodes in right now.
That's a good one. What did we just watch? Oh, It's Always Sunny. We've been watching that. That's their most recent episode at the dog track was one of an all-time episode. Just such debauchery. It was outstanding.
Better for debauchery, that or Shameless.
I've only seen a couple episodes of Shameless, but I would say
Shameless
It's Always
is
Sunny when they knock it out of the park. They go full into it.
Lead character Frank in Shameless is truly shameless.
Mm-hmm.
Truly. I mean, I don't know that the definition in Webster's truly does it justice how shameless he is. And it's spectacular. The entire family.
I've only seen a few episodes. I do need to watch that show at some point.
Pretty good stuff. Anything else you're looking forward to other than just football season, Kevin?
The golf outing tomorrow.
Yeah, we got that coming up tomorrow. I'm excited for that. Kevin,
Yeah, we'll
you'll
be down at the Legends. Cannot wait for that.
You're going to be hitting a bunch of golf shots trying to help people get close to the pin.
So you've got me on a par 3?
I think that's the plan.
The mecca of Indiana high school golf, we used to call the Legends.
I have
3 and
not been-
7.
I have not been the
Shared
center
a
of
tee box.
organizing this, but that's
Cannot
fine.
wait for that. I love that we have a Papa Shot. Thank you to Carlton, the listener.
I think it's a big time. Like it's actually a full basket. I think.
Yes, it's going to be a great time out there with JMV shooting shots. So, weather looks good. Cannot wait for that. Mark, where are we at on the panic meter for the Cubs today?
I would say it's climbing 6 or a 7 probably because you've got your new acquisitions either getting put on the injured list almost immediately, or they're getting shelled, so that's not good. And the distance between you and the Brewers quickly growing.
It's funny. I've obviously paid pretty close attention to these last couple of nights, and
You don't say.
When you're watching your baseball team play in like August and September, it's rather unhealthy, the emotional push and pull over the course of a 9-inning game.
That's what makes sports great.
I'm like, is this good for me on a Tuesday night?
Yes.
Because like the Reds, it's not like they were in full control by any means in either game, really, until it got to about the 6th or the 7th inning there. But it is so funny. I'm like watching it and like seeing a little bit of the Cubs social media reaction, and it's like, when your team starts to lose a couple in a row this time of year, oh my gosh, the full bore panic meter.
I will say this,
it's just through the and then you play the very next day. Hell, the Cubs Reds are what, are 220 today?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so much different than the NFL cycle where it's like you have to live in it for 7 days. Whereas Major League Baseball, it's like, oh my gosh, it's doom and gloom. We're never going to win a game again. Then it's like, oh wait, we play tomorrow and it's a day game.
Well, Mark
What
knows
if we
better than
win?
anybody, though. The Cubs and Cubs fans' social media, it's like this in May. Like, I have friends that are Cubs fans that on social media just have otherwise completely rational, sane people, but it'll be like a random afternoon game in May, and there is a full-on 6-tweet meltdown during the last 4 innings of a Cubs game.
Well, I think the Cubs fans are getting sick of just like spending as much money as they do to go to a game, and then the ownership crying poor. And, well, we can't pay Kyle Tucker. We can't give him $600 million or whatever it's going to cost. We're not the Yankees or the Dodgers. You should be. You're a big market team. You should start acting like it. They should be blowing away the Brewers and the Reds and the Cardinals from a spending standpoint, and they just aren't. And it's annoying.
Where are you at on Ricketts as an owner now that you've had a good, solid run from him?
I would like him to be more out front a little bit more and kind of say, why aren't we spending? We've got the marquee network. We've got all this revenue coming in and all these different facets we've been told, making money hand over fist, yet we're not spending on the actual team. So explain that to me, please.
Well, you got 2 ways to build a baseball team. You can spend your way to the top, or you just have to have an unbelievable developmental program.
Mark, thanks for being my friend. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Well, you could be disappointed
Did
in
he
yourself
drop
for not
the parental I'm just disappointed
be
line?
disappointed in yourself for not identifying Kool-Aid as Mondo.
Just thought Mark had a little bit more effort out of him. Thank you to listener Jason for delivering on the Mondos.
Well, we'll
Mark
see if those
Dykman
actually
could
come
not.
All right, Jake at noon, JMV at 3. We'll see you tomorrow morning.